was incredibly. You can hear that. You can hear that. Anyway, we don't talk about that noise. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Today, after like I don't know, half half a year or so, let me. I can check that. I am on the PC, so I can check that in this time around. Also, before my whole PC explodes, also welcome yeah. Good, good day. I don't know, evening, mornings. Welcome. Uh, of note. Uh, is it okay? Is it sent? I can finally close this scroll. That is done. Also, let me. This thing is it's very important. Holy shit! It's completely unreadable. It was true. Now that I'm the PC, I can see. Yeah. It's impossible to understand. What? Oh my god. Anyway, we don't worry about the 70 stuff. Pin. How long until I decide to remove it myself? Is that done? Is that okay? That's going. So, do I need to have anything else open? I think not, right? Yeah, to some degree. This is like basic stuff, so no worries. Also, it's so crazy. Anyway, don't worry about it. Let me close this. Let me see. Let me test. This works, right? Let me see. Uh, this is actually not going to kill this. Ah, yeah. I mean, there is no way for me to know if it lags or not. It's so good to have OBS and not be capable of checking it. That's I guess the advantage of having another what is it another monitor that I could have it. Anyway, that's besides the point. Besides the point, we have that. Thank God I put the page in the title. If not, no idea where I should be going to. 1,499 or there we go. Come to 144. What? 141. Okay, that's that. We're talking about books, so I have the right to complain out that stuff. Let me. I have still so much stuff to continue reading. I hate it, but yeah. I didn't explain anything in reality. Why are we here today? Good question. We are here today because I wanna. Not I wanna. I have to stay up. I need to not go to sleep. So yeah. Before I commit the error that I did last time that I was told I need to stay up, let's do this thing. Instead of me believing that by sitting in my own bed somehow I am going to not fall asleep, this is better. I have the excuse that I need to be constantly speaking and whatnot, so we will see how it works. Probably to some degree it will be more not just tiresome. Everything is to some degree tiresome, but more extenuating, something along those lines. Whatever. The point is, I have to stay up. So yeah, we are doing this. We're continuing after. Yeah. Wait. Transition to here. I wanna search that something funny. I don't know the months of the year. So when is Uh, September, I think it's like the 10th month of the year. September is the 9th. Okay, 9, 10, between the 9th and we are on the 6th, yeah, 9 months of separation between the last time that we read the Mahabharata and now, so we are so old. Also, watching OS, very important issue. The mic keeps fucking peaking. Uh, I guess it's unavoidable. At this point, yeah, I should like try to be around here. Probably that's better. I also won't have to use my voice as much, anyways. So I guess that's an answer. Anyway, I was we are still starting, so uh, let me get a fucking candy. Let me get a candy. We like candies here. We use them as substances to keep ourselves awake. So yeah, that tiny sugar rush was worth it all along. It was worth it. Uh, is it going to come out? Will I have to get a fucking scissor? Oh my god, why is it such a pain? Life is suffering, but one still accepts it as such and tries to move on. Trying to get the candy out of the fucking thing is a pain. But anyways, you accept it as such and we keep trying until it happens. My fucking god. Okay, I cracked the candy. We are so back. It was an orange candy. Wow. So good. Anyways. Also, very realistic. Something that I keep forgetting. This microphone for some reason picks up everything. So you are probably hearing me fighting with this thing. Anyway, we don't talk about that. We don't talk about anything here. We we just sit in silence for 5 hours straight and assume that stuff happens. Also, another note before really starting, I say that clinical psychosis, it isn't the term, it's neurosis. What's the distinction? I still don't know. But yeah, I said that some time ago. The proper term is clinical neurosis or neurosis of the clinic. Anyway, uh, I will need to also get my gears going. I don't even remember what the hell was the whole story of the Mahabharata in the part in which we left it. I hope the only thing that I wanna know is not the issue of last time of finding out that I am reading something that I already read like midway through this. So that's also something to look forward to, I guess. If we are indeed reading something new, or if it happens that because I haven't read all these texts, I am just reading yet again something that I already read before. So, anyways, also, don't worry about it. Probably the degree of noises that happen, it gets me too self-conscious. What is it? Self-aware, anxious, basically. To know that this microphone for some reason works so much when it shouldn't. Not that it. Oh, well, yeah, it works. That's it. No, it works too much when it shouldn't. It doesn't need to work that well in some cases. Anyway, what I was going to say before, we are not here to just mention what is this whole book. At this point, I realize I say it I don't know if I properly say it. I guess I say it, but yeah, this is certainly mostly a personal project. It serves as a very good excuse to read this and whatnot. The issue is properly doing it, trying to read this at all. Also, the browser almost crashes. What's going on, brother? Is it really going to crash? Wait. Let me check. Is OBS lagging? No, it isn't. What? Why is the browser? The wrong questions. Anyways, it didn't crash, so we're fine, I guess. Okay. Completely okay. I wanted to say, yeah. Besides that, other stuff to read, other stuff to worry about. I found this book. And I wanted to start reading it. I didn't even start. Is it going to be on the first page? Probably. So it's going to be the title. This book, this thing is wonderful. I tried to read. It's about psychiatry, certainly. It's about people who talks about the whole story of how the creation of schizophrenia works and whatnot, and how the diagnosis of it is made and whatnot, and it's certainly useful. Issue is, it requires a lot of previous knowledge. They are discussing stuff of that time. So, on one hand, it's a good book. It's only 260 pages long, so it's kind of short. But the issue ends up being that despite being also in discussion with other people of the time, it doesn't mean that you can pick it up out of nowhere. The issue is, it talks too much about things that they assume you understand. So yeah, this one, I like it. I guess, I don't know, rating. What's the rating? 7 peers out of 10, I guess. It gets 7 peers out of 10. Also, this, why is there a, why is the corner, what's that? Why is the corner of the first page? Anyway, that's the cover, I guess. So yeah, good book. Next stuff. It is. Can you even see the pages of this one? Let me see. Ah, due to how I have it set it up, you can see even a little bit of the part below. This is another thing. This is, it doesn't properly show because it's like set up to capture this, but the reality is I am already like, I think, let me see. Can you see it? I think it's like, okay, yeah, here, around here it says 32 pages. That's the story. That's why you can see this part around here. What is this? Also, I incorrectly moved. I changed the whole shape of my voice. Of not my voice. Stream manager. Why is it so hard to use Twitch sometimes? Anyway, continuing. This the proper name of the book is. I don't remember where I was. I remember it was something about. I will forget. Give me like 1 second. Give me like 1 second before I forget. Hey, but this guy, this writing very good. On not wanting to leave. That's yeah. What a good title. Was around, I think, the world and I. Weariness and agony. What? I wasn't there. Where the hell was I? Here. Okay. Okay, on not wanting to leave, wasn't it around here? How distant? Okay. I was here. Anyways, another interesting book. But we are not going to touch it anymore because I am going to lose myself yet again on where I was. That one is another reading that I am trying to have. Anyway, what we are here for today, this uh, Mahabharata, the complete Mahabharata, we are going to see. Um, Something that I was thinking about while trying to find a way to properly go about this whole stuff. Also, I will show yet another book that I also have saved here. But that one is not a book; it's an audio book. It's let me read the title of that one. It's Understanding Human Nature by Alfred Adler. So yeah, that is another thing that I have. But I don't know. Reading is fun when when the stuff that you care about to read. So yeah, continuing. The issue is with the Mahabharata, we are trying to read something that I remember trying to mention properly. What's the process I can give you? At this point, I forgot what was the proper name of the method utilized, but it's basically you grab a text and try to strip away of the thing that you're reading any kind of basic interpretation that you can make. You try to shape it as something else. Supposedly, everything is even more with what are these sort of stories, myths, and whatnot. Metaphors. So it's an analysis in which you try to find as many metaphors as possible. It's very possible to do that. The issue ends up being that you, probably even more for me that I have to stay awake. It's like a bad idea. It takes time. But anyway, we have to continue reading this. So no matter how bad it is, we still have the necessity to keep going with this whole reading. Even if at this point I almost completely forgot the plot, what I can say is that the Pandavas are the good guys. I don't even remember what are the name of the bad guys, but there are some bad guys who fight against them, and yeah, that's it. Everything else has been wiped at this point. But whatever. What are we here for is not the main story, really. Even if sometimes I do remember I have been thinking about it for quite a while actually, and it's funny to see that the Mahabharata has a lot of interesting things contained inside of it. Issue is you need to have patience with the book. So once again, it's 7 fucking thousand pages long, so maybe it's not that worth it. In most occasions, I would assume people are not going to assume that it's worth it. It's like, I don't know, reading the whole Bible. Not many people are actually going to do it. So yeah, even less in the approach that we are trying to take here. Analyze what is the possible metaphorical meaning of stuff besides the basic first layer reading that you can have about the text itself. So yeah, in that sense, it's complicated. But still, it's a journey that we do because we want to, not because anything else. So yeah. Anything else that I should be saying? I guess not. I certainly guess not. So yeah. Anyways, I have probably run out of excuses to give. Let me check once again. Let me check once again. No, it's working. So yeah. Let us lettuce cabbage start with this. Are lettuce and cabbage the same thing? No, it's probably not. Anyway, we don't eat vegetables on this house, so it doesn't matter. Canto 141. Tirta Yatra Parva continued. Lomasa says, Pandavas, you have seen many a mountain, and the river and town and forest and beautiful Tirtha. You have touched the sacred waters with your hands. Now this way leads to the divine Mount Mandara. Therefore, be you attentive and compose. You will now claim to the dwelling place of Devas and Devarishis and of great Punya. Yes, so far I haven't really forgotten the terminology. Luckily enough, I I guess when you are invested in what you are doing, you don't really get to forget basic things. I don't know. The whole story is they have to go through a whole journey of purifying themselves, the Pandavas. So what they are doing is at this point going to a place that seems to be close. Yeah. The place in which the Devas basically they go to more positive deities of the Hindu religion inhabit, I guess, and also of the Varishis, as in, I think the Varishis are the, what is it, the ancestors of great knowledge, and also the issue is Punyal means like three or four things. Great knowledge, great acquisitions of good karma and such. So yeah, in that sense, it's a little bit more complicated than just basic language. Sadly, something wonderful that I can say now is it was a very correct action to not translate many of the terms themselves of the Mahabharata because doing so will strip them of the multiplicity of interpretations that you could have. So yeah, anyway, continuing. We are not even like two paragraphs in, so it's not time to stop. Here, O king, there flows the mighty and lovely river Alakananda of holy water adored by hosts of celestial ones and sages, and we will trace its source to the great Nyangrotha tree, high soul by Hyasas, Balakhilias, and Gandharvas of mighty spirits, frequent this holiest Asarama. Asarama is, okay, by Hyasas, Balakhilias, and Gandharvas are different deities, let's say. The thing that we care about is Asarama. Asarama is the place in which different it has multiple interpretations, as I said. We're only trying to stick, I guess, with the basic one of Asarama as the place in which someone gets to rest. Let's say like that. We are talking about a more type of divine Asarama, a more, yeah, a more, I don't know. A proper comparison will be something along the lines of the place in which God dwells, let's say, but yeah, no, it also has a different interpretation. It has a different meaning. The place in which God dwells is not an asarama by itself. It's just a place to rest. That's the point of the asarama, I guess. Also, good evening, Crispian. Good evening. Good morning. Good afternoon. Sorry. Here we are. Yeah, just in time to start reading this wonderful book. Have you heard about it? You should read it. No, don't read it. It's 7,000 pages long. Don't read it. But yeah, welcome. Also, let me use this as an excuse. So yes, it's still not exploding. Yeah. OBS still hasn't exploded. We are so comfy. Continuing. Where did I stop? Third paragraph. Third paragraph? Yeah, third paragraph. Those unmatched singers of the Samahimans, the Rishis, Marichi, Pulaha, Brigu, and Angiras chanted them here. Here, the king of the Devas performs his Nitya Puja, along with the Maruts and the Satyas and the Aswins attend on him. The sun, the moon, and all the luminaries with the planets come to this river. Al- Alternately, by day and by night. Most fortunate king, Mahadeva, protector of the world, the bull, his emblem, received the descent of the Ganga from the sky here, where now her source is. My children, approach this goddess of the six attributes and bow down before her with your minds concentrated in Dhyana. There is a note there? No. It's okay. This is the note. It's closing this whole thing that is being said, basically. Uh, who? Lomasa. Lomasa was saying that, basically. So I have to record to my own memory. I think Diana was. I will have to search it. I remember the basic stuff. There are too many terms. I hate it. I hate it. That's also part of the consequences of not continuing the things that you should be reading, that you forget terminology specific to the stuff that you're reading. Anyway, let me. I don't feel like doing it on the phone. It takes too much energy. Let me do it on the PC. Diana, what does Diana mean? Diana meaning Diana, Sanskrit translated as meditation and an essential practice in diverse traditions from the India. Yeah, it is the seventh limb of Ashtanga Yoga after Dharana, which is concentration. Okay, okay, whatever. So the context is concentrated in meditation. What? My children, approach this goddess of the six attributes. I already don't know what are the six attributes. And bow down before her with your own minds concentrated in meditation. What? Okay, makes sense. Having listened to the Maharishi Lomasa, the sons of Pandu reverentially worship the Ganga, who flows through the firmament, and after having adored her, the pious Pandavas resumed their journey, accompanied by the sages, and in a while, those best of men behold at a distance a white massive of vast proportions, even like a meadow, and stretching on all sides. Knowing the question in the hearts of Pandu's sons, Lomasa, master of speech, says, "Listen, O sons of Pandu, Purushottamas, what you see before you, vast as a mountain and beautiful as the cliffs of Kailasa, is a mound of the bones of the mighty Daitya Naraka. Being heaped, they resemble a mountain. The Daitya, what was Daitya? No, don't worry. The Daitya was slain by that Paramatman, the eternal Lord Vishnu, to help Indra, king of the Devas. Wanting to usurp Indra's position, Narakasura of the mighty mind acquired knowledge of the Vedas and performed a dread tapasya, which lasted 10,000 years. And through these penance, as also by the force and might of his arms, he became invincible and forever harassed Indra. Nakha, sinless, knowing the might of the demon and his great penance, Indra became agitated and fear overwhelmed him. In his heart, he thought fervently of Vishnu, the Eternal One, at which the gracious Lord of the universe, who is present everywhere, appeared and stood before Indra. The Devas and Rishis began to sing hymns to Narayana and to propitiate him with prayers. In his presence, even Agni of the six attributes and of blazing beauty was overpowered by his effulgence and was shorn of radiance. Seeing Mahavishnu before him, the king of the Devas, the Bhagradhari, bowed his head low and told Narayana what the source of his fear was. Vishnu said, I know, O Sakra, that your fear is from Naraka, lord of the Daityas. He aims for your throne through his tapasya, and so, to please you, I will sever his soul from his body, despite his great tapasya. King of the Devas, wait a moment. Okay. Vishnu then struck Naraka with a blow of his hand. The Asura fell to the ground even like the Lord of Mountains struck by cosmic thunder. So, what the fuck? So he died, and his bones gathered in this place. Another miracle of Vishnu's is also manifest here. Once, when all the earth was lost, having sunk into Patala, Narayana assumed the form of the Varaha, a boar with a single tusk, and raised her up. Okay, I don't try to make that many poses. Also because I don't. There are a thousand things that I could try to explain. Uh, I don't want to try and yeah, probably a mistake on my part. I don't want to try and explain anything particularly being said here. Besides the main meaning, and that is something that I leave for when the whole canto is finished. So yeah, interesting interpretation. I think it becomes like kind of obvious. A war with a single task. I wouldn't say. I this would be easier to say if I knew a little bit of geography, I guess, and animal dispositions and whatnot. But isn't a war with a single task something that seems to be so strong? More like a rhino? Shouldn't that be also a war with just one task? Taking into consideration that in general, boars and rhinos all are aggressive towards humans. Whatever. Maybe it is just a war with one big task. And I mean, where is it coming from? The boar task come from their mouth, like what is it? Like the walrus, I think. So do they? No, they don't. Do they? I don't know. I might be making it up. Don't really want me. Anyway, that's besides the point. The thing that I wanted to say was that maybe a war with a single task is a rhino. Maybe not. Yudhishthira says, Worshipful one, tell me in detail how Vishnu, Devadeva, raised up the earth which had sunk 100 yohanas. How was Bhumi Devi, of lofty fortune, support of all created things, who dispenses blessings and brings forth all manner of grain, rendered stable, through whose power had she sunk 100 yohanas, and how did the Paramatman come to rescue her with this great exploit? Divihotama, you certainly know all about what transpired, and I want to hear it all from you. Lomasa says, Yudhishthira, listen to that tale at length. My child, in ancient days, there came a time of dread in the Kareta Yuga, when the ethereal and primeval deity assumed the dharma of Yama, and when the god of gods began to do the work of Yama, not a creature died, while the birds were as usual. Birds and beasts and kine and sheep and deer and all kinds of carnivores multiplied. Parantapa and the race of humans also swelled in tide, in millions. My son, when the population multiplied to a frightening extent, the earth, oppressed with her intolerable burden, sank 100 yohanas. Agony lanced through all her limbs, and barely conscious from the vast pressure upon her, Bhumi Devi, in great distress, sought the protection of the Lord Narayana, the foremost of gods. The earth said, "It is through your grace, O possessor of the six attributes, that I was able to remain so long in my position. But now I have been overcome with burden, which I cannot sustain any longer. Most adorable one, relieve me of my burden. I seek your protection, Lord. Give me your favor." Hearing her, the eternal Lord, what? The eternal Lord, possessor of the six attributes, Vishnu, said calmly, his words distinct in their every syllable, "Do not fear, O afflicted Bhumi Devi, bearer of all treasures. I will relieve you of your burden." Thus consoling Bhumi, who has the mountains, for her earrings, and then sending her away, Vishnu suddenly turned into a refulgent boar with just one tusk, striking terror with his glowing red eyes and his blazing luster, smoking, fuming. He began to grow amazingly, Kshatriya. Then, bearing the earth upon his single radiant tusk, that being who pervades the Vedas raised her up 100 yohanas, and while she was being so raised, there was a terrific agitation, and all the devas and all the rishis of great Tapasya became distraught. Heaven and the sky and the earth as well were filled with exclamations of alarm, and neither the gods nor men could find any peace. Then countless celestials and sages went to Brahma, who sat blazing with his own luster. Approaching Brahma, the lord of every celestial and the witness of the deeds of all beings, they said to him, with folded hands, "Deva Deva, all the creatures are agitated, and every being, mobile and immobile, are distraught. Lord of the Devas, even the oceans are fraught, and this whole world has sunk 100 yohanas. What is the cause of this ferment in the universe? We are bewildered and dismayed. We beg you tell us what is happening." Brahma replied, "Devas, do not be afraid of the Asuras in any matter or place. Listen, O celestials, to the reason for all this commotion. The illustrious one, who is omnipresent, eternal, and never perishing, never perishing, what? Uh, the illustrious one, who is omnipresent, eternal, and never perishing soul, is responsible for this agitation. The Paramatman Vishnu has raised up Bhumi, who has submerged 100 yohanas. The great disturbance is in consequence of the earth being lifted up. Note this and dispel your doubts." The Deva said, "Where is that being who joyfully raises up the earth? O you who possess the six attributes, tell us where this is happening, so we might go to that place." Brahman said, "Go, and make good befall you. You will find him resting in the gardens of Nandana. Look, there is the glorious and worshipful Garuda." At this point I had forgotten that Garuda was from the Mahabharata. Anyway, after having raised up the earth, the god from whom the world became manifest flames forth in the shape of a boar, even like the all-consuming apocalypse during the Pralaya. Upon his breast the Sarivatsa shines. Go and behold that being who knows no decay. Setting Brahma, the grandsire, at their head, the Devas came to that infinite soul, and having sung him praises, bade him farewell, and went back to where they had come from, says Lomasa. Having heard this story, all the Pandavas go with all haste towards the place to which Lomasa pointed. Okay, that That's Canto 141. Easy enough. Issue interpretation. There are like too many. So something funny. The more you learn, the more complexity any kind of text can get to have. Not that it does have it actually. Something wonderful that comes with knowledge is you realize sometimes that you kind of assume more depth than what it truly possesses. Not because it does not have the possibility of containing this, so to speak, secret meaning. There are always something that we do not regard as much, that is the second intention of any writing, that might be hidden within, yeah, between the lines, or within the text itself, so to speak, a subtext of sorts that isn't as apparent. Issue is, at some point, anybody believes that what they might see is true. So the possibility of assuming that what I perceive being the correct interpretation is certainly dangerous, I guess. I wouldn't say what I'm talking about is just, oh wow, yeah, correct. Besides that, I mean, that's the most basic degree of self-awareness of, oh yeah, I might not be saying completely the truth. Impossible for anybody to do that. So besides the point is, we have like three, okay, we have 4 pages of text to analyze. I think if I did it before, I had already forgotten, but it's probably the very same thing that I already said. This whole rite of purification shouldn't be as complex. The basic explanation that it gets is basically, in a certain way, the old tradition in which we used to base ourselves is how, by experiencing the world and being capable of traveling around it, we are allowed ourselves to gain more knowledge, not just based on the time that we use on traveling, but because different sites and different cultures reside within different distant lands. Even if we are all part of the same culture, as it is implied here, all of this story happens, so to speak, within the realm of, yeah, between, or within the realm of what the Mahabharata considers the mainland, and all of that is just, so to speak, the Bharat, so to speak, the Bharat and nothing else. It is still possible that different cultures from very polar points or distant points will have overly different traditions that might allow them, through the exchange of information, to reach even better points of evolution. Is a different idea, but of agreement and mixture between the participants of it, let's say. So that's the basic stuff here. The Pandavas, the purification that happens, besides the mythological aspect, has that signification, I would assume. Also, unavoidably, they are still having to go through the whole penance of their misdeeds. The whole story with that was, one of them was addicted to betting, so he ended up betting everything that the Pandavas have and risking all of their richness. So on that side, that's the issue. But we can kind of move past that. Besides the most basic observation, what matters is, okay, in this particular canto, what truly matters, I will say, is I cannot, okay, I I might have, even if it were to be a bore, even if it assuming that it is a war, and not going back to what I mentioned before of maybe the interpretation is a rhino, but they didn't have the proper word for that, or they didn't know that it was a rhino. They had encountered the tiny tribe that resided within that place, because all of this story is this one particular canto has happens between one piece of land. It what I would be as willing to say is probably they encountered a very angry animal that killed a lot of people. That's to some degree the most basic interpretation as to why it becomes the main point. Also, at the same time, why the story is kind of left unfinished on why this animal, after having killed so many humans, it seemed disappeared. Because there is nothing else about it. I mean, the end is the end. Let me here. What Brahma said, after what Brahma said, setting Brahma, the grandsire, at his head, the Devas came to that infinite soul, and having sung his praises, bade him farewell, and went back to where they had come from. That's an incredibly empty final conclusion of the story. It's. I could assume a proper interpretation of this will be the way in which the mythological aspect of the culture of the Sanskrit culture happens is that it can be explained that despite this animal doing some sort of hard to the culture itself that resided within that land, the justification is it was for a good cause. That's why it even gets called a deity, or even so, one of the most important deities, so that nobody has the possibility of contradicting that on one hand. That is still an overly basic reduction of the story, I will say. That's the reality. I also feel like you can dispense with all possible deeper interpretations by saying, oh, yeah, they were being killed by a boar. So they assumed that it was for a good cause and called it a day and nothing else. Okay, second interpretation available to this would be since it doesn't only involve deities, it is still a truth that humans were killed because of whatever that happened on that place. I would probably. I mean, it's like incredibly twisted also. I wouldn't believe it is a good explanation at all, but probably the humans interpreted what was happening as an event that came from deities, despite this whole justification of we have overpopulation of sorts, we have too many people living in one place. What is it? We have too much density of population. I think it is called in the modern. In what we use nowadays to describe the concept itself of too many people living in one place. In that era, it was already known that it was bad, so they justified killing people amongst themselves as something that wasn't being done by them, but rather through the process of purification that a deity, through the embodiment of a boar, decided to do. I would. That's also kind of complicated to if it were to be another way to explain it. I think it has a main issue of you cannot really say that it is the most accurate one. It doesn't explain why they chose exactly a boar. I guess you will have to go long stretches of reasoning to justify why the boar was chosen and anything like that. If the issue was within the tribe itself that resided in that land that the Pandavas are visiting, but nonetheless, I guess, okay, accepting that this is a feeble explanation, and not so a strong one, not trying to get any more sense in that side. It also gives a better explanation as to why even Brahma, the main god, saw what was happening as good. Because in many cases, that's the main message of this. In the Mahabharata, something that is very much forbidden is killing. Even in what's the term? The even the fighters here, even the kshatriyas don't have the possibility of in indiscriminately killing people. So that's why I assume that that's a different way to interpret what was happening here. But I mean, both of them are still negative. The deeper meaning, I haven't really gotten at myself or found. Also, unavoidably, I'm not even mentioning why the earth was being sunk down and whatnot. I guess that's the issue of trying to understand a myth. Any kind of interpretation might be feasible enough if you argue, if you try to argue it for long enough periods of time. But I think it has to deal with how the earth was sunken down due to how much existence there was. Not in just one place, but overabundant existence. This idea of okay. I think I have a proper explanation. This there are different times what we can now trace as times in which the overall population is younger and times in which the overall population is older. I wouldn't be surprised is if within certain cultures or even more within relatively enough populations, it can happen that if the population itself is young enough, there are very extended periods of no deaths, even if certainly there are risks as sicknesses and illnesses and whatnot affecting the land. It seems like nothing bad had happened throughout such an extended period that there was an overabundance of life in that sense. So the moment in which most people started to reach that point in which they die unavoidably, or not just people, things, certainly everything, and even more, the Mahabharata, or the whole Hinduistic tradition has this idea of everything ends. There is nothing permanent or eternal besides the devas and whatnot. So When every living being was starting to reach its point of departure from the land, it was starting to be assumed that it was due to how a god was affecting this event, and it was being called something good because it was bringing balance back to the world. When there was too much life, there was no allowance for for the other side of this cycle in which things also need to end. So it was being shaped as this the explanation. Since we are getting to have death itself, we're finally getting to complete the cycle and finally go back into the wheel of, I think they call it Dharma. I don't remember. But I guess that's another interpretation, and also for that one, you will have to assume that the war is just an allegory to that whole stuff, and that there was no real wall sunkening and everything else. But yeah, three different interpretations of that. I guess anyway. Let me drink water. And after that, we move on to Canto 142. Also, let me check OBS. How is this working? No frames drop whatsoever. I love it so much. I love when things go right. And yeah, I was also right. Thinking it's thinking is awesome. I think there is no I haven't found a proper way to stay up for the whole night without getting tired anyway, so this is going to be a challenge. No matter what, it's going to be a challenge. But yeah, whatever. At least something funny. When the body gets dehydrated enough, it gets incredibly drowsy. Not okay. The dehydrated might refer to something bad in most cases. So, when you get to eliminate most of the unnecessary water in your body, you get incredibly drowsy. That's the proper explanation. One of the many things that needs to happen even for anybody to go to sleep is to evacuate as much liquid as you can that you do not need to have inside of you. That's why it's something so common that when you are starting to fall asleep, you feel that sudden urge to go evacuate, let's say. But yeah, being hydrated, basically good for staying up, I guess. Completely unrelated. Completely unrelated to the book. Anyway, continuing. Canto 142. Tirthayatra Parva continued. Vaisampayana said, O king, those foremost of bowmen, of immeasurable prowess, holding bows strung tightly, carrying quivers brimful of arrows, wearing fingerlets made of iguana skin, and their swords at their sides, go with Panchali towards the Gandhamadana, also taking with them the best of their Brahmanas. On their way, they see lakes and rivers and mountains and forests and trees of wide spreading shade upon mountain summits, and places abounding in trees bearing flowers and fruit in all seasons, and frequented by devas and rishis, restraining their senses within their within the inner self, subsisting on fruit and roots, the heroes pass through rugged realms, karagi and difficult of passage, seeing diverse and numerous birds and beasts as they go. Beasts? What? Anyway, thus those high-souled ones enter the mountain of rishis, siddhas and devas, of Gandharvas, Kinnaras and Apsaras, and, O Lord of Men, as those mighty Kshatriyas first set foot upon Gandhamadana, a violent wind blows there, bringing a torrent of rain with it. Great clouds of dust, beating dry leaves, rise up, and all on a sudden covered air. What? And all on a sudden cover earth, air, and the firmament. What? The great clouds of dust, I guess? When the heavens are obscured by dust, nothing can be seen. Yeah, and neither can the Pandavas speak to one another. Eyes full of darkness and stung by the wind that carries rock particles, they cannot see one another. Well, trees split open, cracking in the gale. Towering trees crash down to the ground with force of the wind. Dismayed by the storm, they think, are the heavens falling down, or is this mountain and the very earth cracking open? Terrified by the storm, they grope in the pitch darkness with arms outstretched and shelter under trees, inside large ant hills and in caves. Holding his bow and supporting Krishna, the mighty Bhimasena stands under a tree. Yudhishthira Dharmaraja with Damya scurries into some heavy woods. Sahadeva, carrying the sacred fire, takes shelter under a huge rock. Nakula, with Lumasa and the other Brahmanas of great tapasya, stand trembling, each one under a tree. Then, when the wind abates and the dust subsides, the sky opens and down comes a cascade of rain. The heavens shake with shocking batteries of thunder. It's like Indra's Bhaskara being cast, and quick flashing lightning begins to play vividly through the clouds. Without pause it rains, and everything is a solid sheet of water, until rivers of hurtling water rush all around, foam crested and jarred with mud. These roaring cataracts uproot the greatest trees and plunge them down the mountain like twigs. As suddenly as it began, the storm ceases, and when the wind is still and the air is clear, each of them comes out cautiously from their places of hiding, and they meet together again. Again, two Kshatriyas and their party set foot upon Mount Gandhamadana. Eh, that was Canto 142. Is there an interpretation? I mean, wow. Great. Bad weather. Very bad weather in the Mount Gandhamadana. Uh, I mean, that's like incredibly basic. That's like the most obvious observation. Wow, yeah, there was bad weather. Thank you very much. It doesn't mean anything. But okay, the complete opposite. There was no bad weather. The complete opposite. There was no bad weather. It was the best day of their life. That's why it was so easy for them to see that later on it became completely clear. The storm was internal. The eternal struggle of the human being is to be at ease, at peace with oneself. This whole experience was only internal. Let's say like that. That's what I can offer, I guess, to make sense of this one. Besides the basic reading, but yeah, it was a period of tribulations within the Pandavas, between every single one of the Pandavas. I guess, I don't know, they had been traveling for so long that just the prospect of having to meet the deities, or a place in which their deities all gather, was incredibly taxing to their minds and incredibly complex to be capable of being performed. I guess, I have no idea. That's what I can say. Also, Okay, no, it didn't shut up. Anyway, that's what I assume is the other opposite reading of what happens. But no, yeah, I think the most sensible one is yeah that there was just bad weather. Even more, I mean, all the mythological stuff still is funny to leave it as such, or to be not change. It is a place in which devas gather, so it's understandable that the process to get to that place would be a challenge for anyone, and that the weather itself will be capable of being so unstable or so dangerous to traverse. I don't know. So yeah, that's that, I guess. Next, Canto 143, Tirtha Yatra Parva continued. Vaisampayana said, when the noble sons of Pandu have gone a mere 2 Johannas, Draupadi, unaccustomed to walking for long, cannot go on. She is weary, Panchala's most delicate daughter, and faint, and the storm has also. What? Ah, okay, okay. I didn't understand the sentence. My bad. She is weary, Panchala's most delicate daughter, and faint, and the storm has also terrified her. The black-eyed Krishna supports herself with her graceful arms on her thighs, clenched together for just a moment, before she collapses trembling onto the ground. Seeing her fall like a severed vine, Nakula runs forward and holds her. The distracted Nakula cries, "O king, Panchali has fallen down from darkness. Tend to her, O Mahabharata. She deserves no such misery and has borne long hardship. She is exhausted from her journey. Comfort her, O mighty king." Hearing Nakula, Yudhishthira, and Bhima and Sahadeva as well rush to Panchali in alarm. They see her pale and drained, and, taking her onto his lap, Yudhishthira laments, accustomed to ease, used to sleeping in luxurious chambers, on beds spread over with fine sheets. How does this beautiful one lie on rough, bare ground now? Alas, all because of me. The soft feet and the lotus-like face of she who deserves all the finest things in life are calloused pale. Oh, what have I done? Fool that I am! Being addicted to eyes, I have been wandering in forests full of wild beasts, thinking Krishna with me. Her father King Drupada gave this two-eyed one to me, trusting that his blessed child will be happy by having the Pandavas for his husband. But because I am a wretch, today she lies on the rough earth, exhausted with every hardship, sorrow, and wearing trouble. As Yudhishthira Dharmaraja laments, Damya and all the other principal Brahmanas come to him and begin to console him and to honor him with their blessings. They recite mantras to keep Rakshasas away and also perform some holy rites to restore Panchali's health and spirits. At this, and also at being stroked soothingly by her husband's palms, as well as by a cool, moist breeze, she slowly recovers consciousness. The sons of Preta now lay her down upon a deer skin and make her rest, taking her red-soled feet, bearing auspicious marks. The twins begin to press them gently with their hands, scarred by bowstrings. Yudhishthira, foremost of the Kurus, also comforts her. Dharmaraja says to Bhima, Bhima, before us lie so many rough and rugged mountains full of ice and snow. Inaccessible. How, long-armed one, will Krishna pass over this? Bhima says, Rahan, I will carry you, or princess, and Puru- this word, Purusharishab has the twins. So do not be anxious, or Anakya at your command, with your leave, Hidimba's son, the mighty Gatotkacha, who is as strong as I am and can fly through the sky, will carry us all to our destination. With Yudhishthira's permission, Bhima thinks of his Rakshasa son, and in an instant, the pious Gatotkacha appears, salutes the Pandavas and the Brahmanas, and stands before them with folded hands, and they also caress him of the mighty arms. I fucked up literally the last sentence. And they also caress him of the mighty arms. Sorry. Gatotkacha says to his father, Bhimasena of dreadful prowess, you thought of me, and I came at once to serve you. Command me, O long-armed, and I will do whatever you wish. Hearing this, Bhimasena hugs the Rakshasa to his breast. Okay, Canto 144. That was it. Something funny. It serves to justify my previous theory, what I was saying on the Canto 142. The the storm was metaphorical. Why? Because Krishna ended up having real problems after all of that. Um, so yeah, just a tiny observation of that, I guess. But other interpretations, I don't know. I mean, it's this one is very obvious that it's just a continuation of the previous canto, nothing else. It's not so easy to say, oh yeah, this has its own particular meaning. I think both of the things are tied to one another. It's, so to speak, 142, 143, and probably 144 also are all more interconnected than those more individualized passages. So yeah, that's a part of what I can say. But what else? I know I am missing something. Question is what? Oh yeah, I cannot really make that much of. I mean, okay, there is one obvious thing. I think so. That is based on the theory of the storm was internal. Everybody had problems. That's what we see on this canto on 140T. We see that everybody had problems of some sort. The Yudhishthira ended up realizing that he was being not a good husband. That's what also the storm for everyone represents. Everyone had some sort of challenge. The even the normal people had to deal with the issue of comforting those who were struggling, so to speak, mentally. And unavoidably, the Krishna had to deal with the acceptance that his husband was a failure. In that sense of what he already mentioned, being addicted to guys and whatnot. And unavoidably, I mean, unavoidably, even if it is metaphorical in that sense, it also has the realistic thing that it does mention here of getting incredibly tired due to the whole journey. that they had to go through to purify themselves. But yeah, I don't know. I can't really see anything else in this one. I think that's it. For this one, that's it. Or at least for that part. I assume the most evident next conclusion will be how they can rely. How they get it here? Gatotkacha, yeah. How they can rely on Gatotkacha, I guess. But unavoidably, this whole idea of how the father can simply summon his son by thinking about him. No need to explain this whole supernatural connection that exists between the mind of the son and the father, and the possibility of always responding to the responsibility itself. That is, to have your father think about you in that through the mythological layer. It gets explained that the whole mechanic or dynamic, sorry, of how, in many ways, when it summons to action in different things that, or or ancestors is a very complete, a different term, just or father figure or mother figure, whichever one you want, have over us, the influence that they can exert on how we realize that there are some moments in which we need to respond, and the almost also quickness to in with which we can respond to the calling. That's also part of what gets said here, I will assume. What else am I missing? Yeah, no, I think no idea. I think that's so far that for this one. Cat 143 now for real finished. Uh, Also, this is being so much more complex than what I ever expected. I knew it was. I should have probably just chosen to simply come here and speak for how long? Almost 4 hours. But last time I did that, I ended up somehow reaching something completely new. I remember thinking about it. I should have a still. I haven't written it down. I have it so fresh in my mind that I don't have the need to write it down exactly right now. We read the whole Mahabharata. Yeah, we have been trying to do that for like years. So, so yeah, we are at some point we will read completely, but today we have only moved a page. We started on page 100, no, 1499. And reading, okay, just the reading is a dishonest explanation. I like to slowly go through the text and try to understand the underlying implications that it might have. Let's say it's not just reading it. It's not just reading. It will be simpler to just read it, I guess, but we we don't like things simple here, I guess. No idea. Uh, but yeah. It is a Titanic, and it's fun. I don't know. That's what I can tell you. Anyways, let me before I start in the next canto, let me read something, and after that I will continue. But yeah, welcome. Good day. Good life. I guess I don't know. Good. Why can't we say good life? It should be a more used expression anyway. Anyway. Let me continue. Let me continue. Council 144. Theater Yatra Parva continued. Probably quick summary what is happening right now. The Pandavas, the main guys, good guys, are traveling through the whole world, purifying themselves, and they are dealing with exactly right now. Last canto. They're I can say I feel saying it. Let me find the proper word. The spouse of the whole group. They share a spouse. Their spouse was having troubles because the whole journey is too incredibly long. So yeah, that's what's happening. They are trying to find a way to deal with that. So what happened was one of them had children. What's the proper term? Rakshasa, is it? Yeah. One of them had a Rakshasa son, so to speak, a sort of deity son. They summoned him to deal with that. And now we are going to find out what happens. So yeah, now continuing. Canto 144, Tilta Yatra Parva continued. Yudhishthira says, Bhima, let this mighty and heroic Rakshasa lord, your son, devoted to us, wrathful and conversant with Dharma, carry his mother Draupadi without delay, honor of dreadful prowess, depending on the strength of your arms. I will reach the Gandhyamadana and heart with Panchala's daughter. Hearing his brother, that Purushavyagara, Bhimasena commands his son, Gatotkacha Parantapa, invisible son of Hidimba. This mother of yours is exhausted. You're strong and can go wherever you wish. So, Sky Ranger, do you carry her? What? How do I read that? Anyways, my good fortune attend upon you. Carry her on your shoulders and go with us, flying not too high so that she is not frightened. Gatotkacha says, single-handed, I can bear Yudhishthira Dharmaraja and Daumya and Krishna and the twins. Then what a wonder that today I will carry them. Were there what? Where there are others to help me? And oh sinless one, hundreds of other valiant Rakshasas, all of whom can fly and assume any shape they wish, will together carry you all and all the Brahmanas. Saying this, Gatotkacha picks up Krishna and the other Rakshasas, the Pandavas, while by virtue of his inherent power, Glomasa of incomparable effulgence courses along the path of the Siddhas, even like a second sun. And at the command of the Lord of the Rakshasas, the other Rakshasas of terrific strength bear all the other Brahmanas. Flying above enchanted forests, they fly towards the gigantic Nyagrotha tree, going at great speed. Borne by the Rakshasas, the Kshatriyas pass over long distances as if over a few steps. On their way, they see below them lands crowded with Lechcha tribes, rich with mines of diverse gems. They see hills glittering with precious metals, where Vidyadharas throng, and Vanaras and Kinaras and Kimpurushas and Gandharavas, and full of peacocks and chamaras and monkeys and rurus and bears and gavayas and bison, latticed with networks of rillets, full of countless species of birds and beasts, handsome with lordly elephants, the birds are full of rapture in their trees. Passing over many lands and kingdoms, including that of the Uttarakurus, they see that foremost of mountains, the Kailasa, replete with all wonders. And beside it, they behold the hermitage of Nara and Narayana, with an earthly trees hearing flowers and fruit in all seasons. They also see the exquisite and mighty Nyagrotha of the round trunk, fresh and so alive, its shade wide and deep, its foliage thick, soft and sleek, full of health, its box enormous and wide-spreading and of incomparable luster, and bearing full, delicious and holy fruit, dripping nectar. And these celestial trees, visited by hosts of mighty sages, and its branches teem with birds, maddened by spirits, it grows in a grove where no mosquito or fly comes, a spot abundant with fruit, roots, and sparkling water. No, sparkling. What? Sparkling? Uh, Anyway, covered in velvet green grasses, where devas and gandharvas come. Its trunk is smooth, cool, its bark delicate and lovely, reaching that ancestral tree along with the Brahmanari Sabhas. Those Mahatmans alight from the shoulders of the Rakshasas, and they see the charmed, most holiest Rama of Naranarayana, where no sorrow comes, nor the rays of the sun, where no hunger, thirst, heat, or cold venture, where all grief melts away, where hosts of Maharishis throng, which hermitage is adorned by the grace of the Vedas, Saman, Rik, and Yahus, as a Rama inaccessible to men who have no devotion, as a Rama beautiful with offerings and homas, and most sacred, and well swept and fragrant, and shining all around with offerings of celestial blossoms, and spread over with altars of sacrificial fire, and holy women, and water pots, and urns of holy waters, and baskets. Also, good night, Caspian. Thank you for being here. Yeah, I was. And spread over with altars of sacrificial fire, and holy women, and water pots, and urns of holy waters, and baskets, this refuge of all beings, and echoing with the chanting of the Vedas, and heavenly and most worthy of being dwelt in, where all darkness disappears, and splendid and full of incomprehensible grace, and majestic, divine. The Maharishis who live in in Tata Asrama subsist on fruit and roots, their senses perfectly restrained. They wear black deer skins. They are effulgent like the sun and Agni. Their souls have been made great through tapasya. And they are intent on mukti, while they lead the lives of vanaprasthas in communion with the Paramatman, and constantly the sound of Vedic hymns filled that place. Then, having purified himself and restraining his senses, Dharmaputra Yudhishthira of great Dehas, together with his brothers, approaches those rishis. And knowing him, for they are all blessed with supernatural knowledge, all the great sages receive him joyfully. And those Munis, chanters of the Veda, themselves like fire, bless Yudhishthira. They give him holy water and flowers and roots, and Yudhishthira Dharmaraja receives these with reverence and joy. Now, O sinless one, Pandu's son, along with Krishna and his brothers, and thousands of Brahmanas bears in the Vedas and the Vedangas? Vedangas enter that most sacred asrama, which is like the abode of Sukra himself, and which pleases the mind with scents of heaven, which resembles heaven itself. So beautiful it is. There, Yudhishthira sees the hermitage of Nara Narayana, made enchanting by the Bhagirathi and worshipped by the Devas and the Dvarishis, seeing that hermitage where Brahmarishis dwell, Brahmarishis dwell, where fruits dripping ambrosia grow all around. The Pandavas are filled with rare delight. Having reached that place, those high soul Kshatriyas begin living with the Brahmanas. There they see the holy lake Binda and the mountain Mainaka of golden summits, where so many species of birds live, and those magnanimous ones live there happily. The sons of Pandu and Krishna delight in ranging through charmed woods and forests, bright with flowers of every season, exquisite on every side with trees bearing full-blown blossoms and bending with the weight of fruits, and with countless male cocillas among their glossy leaves, and growing thickly under shade cool and lovely to behold. They delight in coming upon diverse lakes of limpid water, shimmering with lotuses and lilies. And there, O Lord, the balmy mountain breeze blows, bearing the purest fragrances, gladdening their hearts. And hard by the gigantic Nyagrotha, the mighty sons of Kunti see the Bhagirathi falling down, crystalline, cool, bearing fresh lotuses softly over a gentle descent of steps made of ruby and coral, and graced on both sides with celestial trees, and her waters strewn with celestial flowers, and enchanting the mind and heart. In that place, frequented by Deva and Rishi, and so hard of access, they make themselves pure, and offer oblations to the mains, the gods, and the great sages in the sacred waters of the Bhagirathi. Thus those bulls among men, the heroic Kuruprabhidabhas begin to dwell there with the Brahmanas, making their offerings and practicing dhyana. The Purushabhyakaras feel particularly joyful to watch the various amusements of Draupadi. Okay, I guess besides the incredibly stunning descriptions, what's the real point of this? Also, that's Canto 145, I think. Yeah, yeah. No, 144. Yeah. What's the point of this canto? I am pretty sure I have already talked about it before. This book, in many ways, it through repetition, we only get to properly understand stuff if we cannot repeat something enough times to be capable of understanding what the deeper meaning is. We not get to access proper knowledge. What we cannot observe enough times, we cannot really integrate within our ways of acting and whatnot. So, conclusion of this particular canto, I will say, besides the importance of this sacred place and whatnot, is how if it wasn't due to the Rakshasas children that Bhima had, one of the Pandavas had, let's say, it will be possible for them to access that place. I think it isn't that complicated to understand that the conclusion is then achievements are not reached through just oneself. It is the appreciation of the later generations that allows, in many cases, to be capable of fulfilling the goals that we set to have in life. It's incredibly complicated. Not complicated, completely twisted what I'm saying on one hand, because that's not the message here at all. That's not what it tries to express. But I think it should be an honest realization. Anybody who follows the story realizes Canto 142, 143, the their spouse cannot continue anymore. If it wasn't for their children, it would not be a possibility for them to be here right now. I think the underlying concept is that, basically, only by being capable of allowing the influence of our children to be accepted upon our life, we can reach the goals that we have. Even more, by allowing their participation on what we are doing, we get to fulfill what we are pursuing, let's say. I think that will be it. That's the main second interpretation that I can have. I mean, everything else, it's incredibly dense. Yeah, that's something that I have been struggling for a long while. Only now I can really recognize it. But when there are cantos like these ones with such dense descriptions, I don't really feel like the description itself that is being given has any proper meaning to be found. I think the incredibly detailed description given is just to set in the atmosphere, I guess. And I cannot really extract anything by trying to decrypt what might be hidden behind. Oh yeah, this place that seems to have rubies and such beautiful places, and in which lotuses are. I mean, basic stuff. It's like a very nice place. Yeah, wow. It's already what the text itself explains. Nothing else. So no, not much else to add on this one at least. So moving on. That's once again Canto 144. Yeah, Canto 144. Moving on. Canto 145. Tirthayatra Parva continued. By Sampayana said, there, in purity, those tigers among men remain for 6 nights, waiting to see Arjuna. One day, a gust of wind blows from the northeast, bringing a heavenly lotus of 1,000 petals, effulgent as the sun. Panchali sees that bloom of unearthly fragrance brought by the wind and left on the ground. She picks it up and is enraptured. She cries to Bhimasena, Bhima, this unearthly flower has taken the essential souls of all redolence within it. Parantapa, it makes my heart soar in joy. I will give this bloom to Yudhishthira Dharmaraja, so you must fetch some more for me, so that I can take them to Rasarama in the Kamyaka. If, oh Pandava, you do love me, bring me many, many of these wondrous flowers. Saying this, that chaste queen of the beautiful glances approaches Yudhishthira with the flower. Bhima Purusharishabha, mightiest of all men, sets out to satisfy her wish. Intent upon bringing her the flowers, he goes swiftly, facing the wind. Also, yeah, there it is. Que me gustó la Pepsi. Welcome, Naya, and people. Good night, I guess. Uh, we're reading. Yeah. Stupid, what did it mean by that? What are you calling you stupid? What? Anyway, welcome. Thanks. No, wait. Not. Also, yes, thanks. But let me do my only show. That is to literally write the slash. Not right. Shut up. It's shut up. Not right. Did this? Did I do a good show? Yeah, I did. I probably used the command. Anyway, welcome. I hope basic stuff. I hope you had a nice stream. I hope it went well. I didn't get to really see what you were going to do today, so whatever it was, I hope it was enjoyable. But yeah, as always, hi. And yeah, also I didn't say your name, sorry. Welcome, Snow Dweller. I hope you're fine. But yeah, thanks, Naya. Anyway, we are reading. What are we reading? A very long book. Yes, that's what's happening right now. And I played. Yeah. It was your. Was it? It was today. It was your birthday. I fucking missed. Anyways. Anyways, my bad. I sorry. Uh, I hope it was good. I it today is 6. Today no, today is 5. When did the room come out? I anyways, we loaded the room in this house. I haven't even played it, but yeah, for sure we can say that. Uh, anyways, I hope it was super. So yeah, it's complicated to try and explain this. I guess the context that matters is right now people are in a place in which everything seems to be fine, and they are just like I don't know, doing side quests. Think about it like that, doing side quests. So yeah, the main characters, Pandavas, they are resting. They are taking it chill, let's say. So yeah, that's what's happening, and we're observing what's going on, I guess. Mm, so yeah, let me continue. I kinda already completely lost myself. So let me start again from the last point that I know I reached here. Saying this, I have to route. Yeah. No, I know. No, no issue. Thanks for the raid. So yeah, good night. Uh, but yeah, uh, continuing. Saying this, that chaste queen of the beautiful glances approaches Yudhishthira with the flower. Bhima Purusharisabha, mightiest of all men, sets out to satisfy her wish. Intent upon bringing her the flowers, he goes swiftly, facing the wind, in the direction from which the flower had come. With his bow and mace inlaid with gold, with his arrows like venomous serpents, he goes forth like an angry lion or an elephant in wrath, and all creatures on his way gaze at him with a powerful bow and arrows. Gaze at him with a powerful bow and arrows. He felt no exhaustion, no languor. What is that word? No fear or confusion. As that son of Bayu and Preta, up the peak he climbs with the strength of his arms to police Draupadi, that is lair of his foes, ranges that finest mountain covered with trees and creepers, its ground black rock, and frequented by kinnaras, and with all manner of mineral, plant, beast, and birds of various hues, and appearing like an upraised arm of the earth adorned with an entire set of ornaments, his eyes fixed on the slope of Gandhamadana. Fragrant mountain, various thoughts swirling through his mind, his ears thrilling with the sweet songs of male coquillas and the ubiquitous hum black bees, and his eyes enchanted by the vivid colors of the profusion of flowers of all seasons. He, of much prowess, goes along even like an elephant in must, ranging mad through a forest, and fanned by the fresh breeze of the Ganjamadana, bearing the scents of myriad blossoms and cooling like a father's touch, Bhima goes along sniffing the bright and perfumed air. The the hairs on his body stand on end with delight as he surveys all of that mountain for the flowers for which he has come. Gandhamadana, home to Yakshas, yeah, anyways, Gandhamadana, home to Yakshas and Gandharvas and Devas and Brahmarishis, bruised by the leaves of Saptach. What? Brother, why is it so full of mistakes? I guess it is Saptachchada tree, besmeared with fresh red, black, and white minerals. He looks as if decorated with lines of holy unguenta drawn by uncanny fingers. With clouds stretching away at its side, the mountain seems as if it were dancing with outspread wings. With its spring and streams flowing and sparkling, it seems to be decked with necklaces of pearls. Upon its slopes are romantic caves and groves and waterfalls. Brilliant peacocks dance to the chiming of the anklets and bangles of apsaras. The mountain-shagged surfaces have been worn smooth by the tusk of the degahas. With the river cascading down, Gandhamadana looks as if its clothes are being loosened cheerfully, playfully. That graceful son of the wind god hides on, forcing his way through countless intertwined creepers. Great stags gaze curiously at him, with large grass in their mouths, never having known fear before. They do not flee. Determined to fulfill the wish of his love, Pandu's mighty and youthful son, stalwart and splendid, and of a splendor like that of gold, his body strong as a lion's, caressing along like a maddened elephant, and with the force of an elephant in wrath, and his eyes coppery like those of a mast-steered elephant, unable to stop the charge of a maddened elephant, ranges the enchanting Gandhamadana with his beautiful and extraordinary eyes upraised, presenting a most noble and unusual spectacle. The wives of Yakshas and Gandharvas, sitting invisible beside their lords, stare at him, turning their faces as he storms past, intent upon gratifying Draupadi, exiled into the forest, as he traverses wondrous Gandhamada. Uh, anyway, Bhima remembers all the grief and pain that Duryodhana has inflicted upon them. Bhima thinks, what will Yudhishthira do now? With Arjuna not returned from Devaloka, and with me here looking for Draupadi's flowers, surely, out of love and uncertainty about their prowess, he will not send Nakula and Sahadeva to look for us. Ah, how can I find these flowers? Quickly! Worried, his mind and eyes fixed to the mountains, lovely slopes, the tiger among men goes along as swiftly as the Lord of Birds, as the wind, with Draupadi's wish, his provender, making the earth tremble with his tread. He goes like the wind, even like a hurricane at the equinox, and frightening herds of elephants and prides of lions and lone tigers and deer, and uprooting and smashing great trees and tearing up plants and creepers. He goes like some wild tusker, climbing higher and higher towards the summit of a mountain, and now roaring fiercely even like a cloud full of thunder. Awakened by Bhima's dreadful roaring, tigers come out of their dens, while other rangers of the forest hide. The coursers of the sky spring up from their perches and wheel into the air. Deer herds run away in panic. Mighty lions awake from their slumber and forsake their caves. Huge bison stand and stare. Terrified elephants, along with their mates, flee that forest and lumber away to more open spaces below. And the boars and the deer and the lions and the bison and the tigers and the jackals and the gabayas of the forest wood all together set up a dismal outcry of fear and cheese, and gallinules and dogs and Garandavas and Piavas and parrots and Gukilas and herons all fly frantically in every direction. Some haughty elephants, goaded by their mates, as also some enraged lions, fly at Vimasena. But in their hearts they are afraid, and they rush at him spraying urine and dung. What an amazing book. But but in their hearts they are afraid, and they rush at him spraying urine and dung, and trumpeting and roaring, only to embolden themselves. The wind gods, lustrous and graceful son, the mighty Pandava, promptly begins to kill them all. Why he hefts one elephant and swinging it through the air kills another with it. He does the same with some lions, while others he dispatches with mere slaps. At being struck by Bhima, all the elephants, lions, tigers, and leopards that come yelp and scream in terror, and discharge more dung and urine. What's up with that? Quickly he kills them all, those that do not flee, and the majestic and awesomely strong son of Pandu enters the jungle, now roaring and shouting aloud himself, making the forest echo. Then that long-armed one sees upon the slopes of the Gandhamadana a beautiful and extraordinary grove of plantain trees spreading over some Johannes like some crazed lion. He rushes towards it, trampling countless plants on his way. But the strongest of men begins to tear up the plantain trees, each as tall as many palmyras, and flings them all around him like so many blades of grass. All the while his shouts and yells resound through the forest. Forcing on, he encounters countless beasts of gigantic size, and stags, and monkeys, and lions, and bison, and great fish in the streams, with the cries of these and the roars of Bhima. Even animals and birds in the remotest parts of the jungle all tremble and cry out. At their cries, a great flock of waterfowls suddenly rise up into the sky on wet wings. Seeing this, that bull of the Maharajas now goes towards them, and he sees a great and lovely lake, rippled by soft breezes, fanned by the golden leaves of the plantain tree which grew upon its banks. Immediately plunging into the water, abounding in lotuses and lilies, Bhima begins to sport lustily just like an elephant in rut. Having thus policed himself for a long while, the right one climbs out again to make his way deeper into the thick jungle. Filling his great lungs, he blows a thunderous blast on his conch, striking his arms with his hands. The mighty Bhima makes all the points of heaven reverberate, filled by the sounds of the shell and by the shouts of Bhimasena, and also with the reports of his striking his own arms. The caves of the mountain seem as if they are roaring. Hearing him smite his arms like thundering clubs, the lions asleep inside of those caves howl like terrified gods. Frightened by the lions, the elephants of this deeper forest set up an awful trumpeting, which also echoes upon the mountain. Hearing those sounds, and also knowing that this was Bhimasena, his brother, the Vanara Hanuman, greatest of monkeys, wanting to meet and to bless Bhima, lays himself across the Pandava's path, not wanting Bhima to go on. Hanuman lies squarely across the narrow way, flanked by plantain trees, obstructing it to keep Bhima safe, so that Bhima does not face curse or defeat by entering the plantain forest. Hanuman lays his huge body down. He begins to yawn, and lashes the earth with his great tail first, raising it even like a Stamha raised to Indra. And that sound is thunder. All around the mountain caves echo those great reports, like a cow lowing. As the tail lashes and the mountain quakes, It also begins to crumble on every side. The reverberations drown the trumpeting of frightened elephants and spread across every slope of Gandhamadana. Bhima hears the sounds and the fine hairs on his body stand on end. He begins to range through that blinding wood in search of the source of the garages. Upon a raised rocky base, he sees Hanuman, whose body is as brilliant as a streak of lightning and difficult to even look at. His fur is coppery, like the lightning flash. The whiplashes of his tail are like lightning. The Vanara's waist seems slender, for his shoulders are so vast. His neck is thick and short. Long hairs cover his tail, which is a little bent at the end, and raised like some flag. Bhima sees Hanuman's coppery face and his tongue between some small lips, and his ears red, his eyes bright and brisk, and his white sharp teeth. Hanuman's head glows like the full moon shine. His mane is tousled wild around it, like a pile of asoka flowers. Amidst the golden plantain trees, that refulgent one lies like some blazing fire, his body radiant, at times looking around him with eyes red, as if with wine. The most intelligent Bhima sees that mighty Vanara chieftain lying like the Himalaya, obstructing the path of heaven. Seeing him alone in that mighty forest, the dauntless Bhima approaches him with rapid strides and gives a loud shout like thunder. Birds and beasts are alarmed by that shout and scatter, but the great Hanuman only half opens his eyes and looks at Bhima with disregard. True, his eyes red as if with intoxication. Then, with a smile, Hanuman says, "I was sleeping sweetly. Why have you awakened me? You have a reason, surely, and you must show kindness to all creatures. We belong to the animals and are ignorant of Dharma. But possessing reason men show kindness towards creatures. Then, why does a reasonable man like you do things which contaminate body, speech, and heart alike, and destroy virtue? You do not know what Dharma is, and neither have you taken the counsel of the wise. Is it that from ignorance and childishness that you kill the animals? Say, who are you, and for what have you come to this forest devoid of humans? And, oh, foremost of men, tell me also where you are going today. You cannot go any farther, for the hills ahead are inaccessible. Shura, save the passage gained through Tapasya. There is no path to that place. This is the path of the Celestials. Mortal can never go this way. Out of kindness, oh hero, I dissuade you. Listen to me. You cannot go on from this place. So deceased, Lord of Men, you are welcome here in every way. So rest here and partake of fruits and root, sweet as Amrita, and do not go on and have yourself killed for no reason. Okay? That was Canto 145. Man. It was incredibly, once again, incredibly brilliant with descriptions and whatnot. On that sense, it's good, I guess. On the other hand, it's like incredibly cluttered. I just to find out what I was trying to talk about here, what I could bring up. I need to discard like 90% of what I just read. What's the point? I think yeah. The, this whole what Hanuman says seems to be right. What Hanuman says seems to be a very good argument, I guess. The complete killing of poor animals who were just put into this throat due to how this AI actor, due to how Bima decided to act just due to a request, seems like a reasonable argument, I guess. What's the meaning? Good, very good question. I think the only idea that I could form so far was this one particular paragraph seems to be mostly about how unavoidably in the pursuit of the fulfillment of the wishes of someone else, we might end up failing to realize that we are breaking other rules that we need to also properly abide to. It wasn't that Bima failed, it was that Bima forgot that he needed to keep acting in accordance with what he knows is good. What is it? Hanuman mentions that in somewhere. This you do not know what Dharma is, and neither have you taken the counsel of the wise. Supposedly, he really does know what Dharma is. The Pandavas are literally known for being incredibly close to Dharma. This whole concept of what are these implied rules of the universe and whatnot. So yeah, in that sense, he knows. But I guess this was forgetting due to how we might want to satisfy someone else. I guess, or not someone else. Certainly, the reading is trying to satisfy his spouse. So I don't know. It's complicated in that sense. It's not only that. It's also a moment of liberation for somebody who has been under so much stress due to this whole journey that has them redeeming themselves and whatnot. A little bit of steam blowing, I think it's called, something like that. Allowing oneself to go basically for a little bit. That's also another explanation that I can find. No, yeah, I don't think I see that much in this one paragraph. I think at least so far that's it. What I can. No, yeah, I don't really have that much else to say. That's it for this one. Let me drink some water, and I guess 146 is next. Also, I haven't checked. We haven't dropped any frames. We are so incredibly back. Umfi, it's unbelievable. But yeah, continuing. Canto 146. Tirta y Atraparva continued. By Sampayana said, "Oh, Parantapa, hearing what the wise Banara says, Bhima asked, 'Who are you? And why have you assumed the form of a monkey?' 'It is a Kshatriya, one of the Varna next to the Brahmanas, that asks you, and he belongs to the Kurubamsa and the house of the moon, and was born by Kunti in her womb, and is one of the sons of Pandu, and is the offspring of Vayu, and is known by the name of Bhimasena.' Hanuman smiles to listen to the Kurapravira that Vayuputra says to the other Vayuputra, his brother Bhimasena. Also, important connotation here that maybe gets ignored. Monkeys don't smile. Monkeys do so. I mean, that's at this point it's well known. Was it intended as a meaning here? But monkeys only smile in a threatening manner. They do not smile in normal context. For monkeys, a smile is not what we have it in our society. So yeah, I don't know what's is that sort of interpretation of his threatening or being courageous toward his brother or what? Anyway, continuing. Hanuman smiles to listen to the Kurupravira, that Vayu, that Vayuputra says to Deuter Vayuputra, his brother Vimasena, I am Vanara, and I will not allow you the passage that you desire. It is better that you return. Do not go on to meet your death. Devasena replies, Oh Vanara, arise and let me pass. Do not come to grave at my hands. Hanuman says, I have not the strength to arise. I am ill and suffering. If you must go on, step over me and do so. Bhima says, the Nirguna Paramatman pervades everybody. I cannot disrespect him that is knowable only by Jnana, so I will not step over you. If I had not known him from whom all creatures manifest, I would have leapt over you and even the mountain, even as Hanuman's once leapt across the ocean. At which Hanuman says, Who is this Hanuman who leapt across the ocean? Best of men, tell me about him if you can. Bhima replies, He is even my brother, excellent with every perfection, and endowed with intelligence and strength of both mind and body. He is the most illustrious lord of monkeys, renowned in the Ramayana, and for Rama's queen, that lord of the Vanaras, crossed the ocean of over 100 Yohanas with a single leap. That mighty one is my brother. I am his equal in energy, strength, and prowess, and also in battle, and I can chasten you. Monkey, so get up. Either give me passage or witness my might today. If you do not listen to me, I will send you to the halls of Yama. Realizing that Bhima is intoxicated with his own strength and full of pride of the might of his arms, Hanuman chides him in his heart and says, Relent, sinless one. I am so old and weary that I don't have the strength to get up. Take pity on me. Move my tail aside and pass. Bhima, proud and by now angry, believes Hanuman and thinks, I will seize the weakling monkey by his tail and send him to Yamaloka. With a mocking smile, he takes hold of the tail with his left hand, but he cannot move the monkey's tail. Bhima seizes the tail, straight and stiff like a stambha erected for Indra. With both hands, he still cannot shift it at all. Quickly, the Panadava's brows are knit, his face wrinkled with effort, his eyes roll in their sockets, but he cannot budge the Vanara's tail. Defeated, Bhimasena returns to the old monkey's side and stands crestfallen and ashamed, folding his hands, bowing low. Bhima says in a faltering voice, Relent, oh Vanarottama, forgive me for the harsh word I spoke to you. Are you a Siddha, a Deva, a Gandharva, or a Guyaka? I ask you out of curiosity, if it is not a secret, and if I may hear it, tell me who you are that have assumed the shape of monkey. O long-armed, I ask you even as a disciple, his master, and I, O Anakha, seek your protection. Hanuman says, O Parantapa, I will satisfy your curiosity fully and tell you all that you want to know. Listen, O son of Pandu, not side one. I was begotten by Vayudeva, life of the world. Upon the wife of Kesari, I am a Vanara, and my name is Hanuman, all the greatest monkey kings. And monkey chieftains once used to wait upon Surya's son Sugriva and Indra's son Bali, scourge of your enemies. Sugriva and I were friends, even as the wind and fire. Driven out from their kingdom by his brother Bali, Sugriva lived for a long time on Rishyamukha, and I with him, and the mighty son of Dasaratha, the heroic Rama, whose Vishnu's own self in human form, was born into the world. His great bow in his hand, and his wife and his brothers with him, Rama, greatest among archers, began to dwell in the Dandakabana to preserve his father's dharma. from Hanasthana in that forest, that awesome Rakshasa king, Devil Ravana, carried Rama's queen away, deceiving, oh sinless one, that Purushottama through the agency of a demon, Maricha, who assumed the form of a golden deer marked with gem-like spots. I thought it was going to continue. There is some meaning on this. Uh, Wonderful question. No idea. I guess. I mean, there should be some sort of meaning that I am probably very much missing. What is it? I guess the biggest clue or the biggest thing for me to find out about is how they talk about Bhima being completely drunk on his own confidence or basically overconfidence and whatnot. Probably that's like the best cue to try and understand what's the issue here. Probably. I mean, also, I can't really get what the tone is for why, after having challenged Bhima, Hanuman finally reveals that he is indeed Hanuman. So yeah, I kind of want to continue reading mostly because of that, but what is the explanation, man? No, yeah, no idea. I think now I cannot really give any other plausible conclusion as to why this is the way it is. I think it's it's just moving the plot forward. That's what I feel like. So yeah, I guess in this one I will give up. That's that's Canto 146. I assume. Uh, yeah. Anyway, continuing. Canto 147. Tirtha Yatra Parva continued. Hanuman continues. After his wife was carried away, Rama, scion of the Raghuvamsa, with his brother Lakshmana, searched for his queen on that mountain, and there met Sugriva, lord of the Vanaras. He made a pact of friendship with the noble Sugriva. Rama slew Bali and installed Sugriva as king of the Vanaras. Having the kingdom, Sugriva sent forth his monkeys, hundreds and thousands of them, in search of Sita. I, too, with numberless monkeys, set out towards the south in quest of Sita, or Mahabharata. On our quest, a mighty vulture called Sampati informed us that Sita was in the palace of Ravana. Then, to serve Rama, I leapt across the ocean of 100 yohanas, the abode of sharks and crocodiles. In Lanka, I saw in Ravana's palace the daughter of King Yanaka, Sita, like the daughter of Adeva. I spoke with Vaidehi, Rama's beloved, and then I burned Lanka with its towers and ramparts and lofty gates, and proclaimed my name there. And then I returned to Bharata Barsha. I told Rama everything, and that the lotus eyes immediately set out to rescue his wife. He created a bridge across the ocean for his army of monkeys, and we crossed over it. In Lanka, Rama slew the Rakshasas in battle. He killed Ravana, oppressor of the worlds, and all his demons, having slain the king of the Rakshasas, his brothers, his sons, and another king. Rama crowned the pious and kindly Rakshasa lord, Bibhishana, as king. Rama recovered his wife, and even like the lost Vedic revelation. Then Raghu's scion and his devoted Sita returned to Ayodhya, inaccessible to enemies, and that the Lord of Men was crowned and began to rule from there. Then I asked a moon of the lotus-eyed Rama, saying, Parantapa, Rama, let me live for as long as the story of your deeds is told in the world. Rama said, So be it. Bhima, through the grace of Sita, also in this place I have everything I need or want, every rare luxury, as do all that dwell in this place. Rama reigned for 10,100 years, and then he ascended to his own abode. Ever since, Apsaras and Gandharvas delight me here, singing the pure and mighty deeds of that hero, sinless one, Guru Nandana. This path is impossible to mortals. For this, O Mahabharata, and also to ensure that no one vanquishes you or curses you, have I obstructed your passage to this path that immortals tread. For the celestials, this is one of the paths to heaven. Mortals cannot pass this way, but the lake in search of which you have come lies in that direction. Okay, okay. I have an explanation. I have one. Eh, it's complicated because it's also Hanuman is a living being. Hanuman, the guy who spoke for the entirety of this Canto 147. But I think, okay, let's say like this. There is always something important about myths and how they carry a little bit of not just the tradition of the older people, but also what used to be the lives of someone else. It is through the memory that gets extended by simply telling it that someone like Hanuman gets to live. This is not something casual, but rather an a metaphor to say how through the extended legacy that myths create in any culture, it is possible to contain something capable of assisting the culture itself to survive for as long as it can. Because at the end of the day, someone like Hanuman indeed is an important being and somebody who plays such a role in what we are observing here in the story of the Mahabharata itself. I would not even be surprised if probably in the future Hanuman were to return, so to speak. It's more of a metaphoric existence, what Hanuman itself is, probably at this point, than what it, it truly carries, besides the mythological aspect of, yeah. Because I simply get to tell this story myself, I can ensure that I keep living for as long as I am capable of talking, I guess. But yeah, I think that is the most sensible observation to make from this canto. I think that's like the most obvious one. How, due to the myth of his lord being preserved, he gets to keep living, basically. And pretty much since cultures like this one seem to keep retelling the same story time and time again, the message is he gets to be an eternal being in this plane of existence. How the spirit of the myth gets to keep on dwelling within society, because in the end that's also what's kind of being expressed. Hanuman wasn't in need of revealing who he was. He did so because he was interested in showing Bhima who he was, nothing else. The reality is, I think so. He gets to keep forming part of the culture secretly. In as something else. I guess it's kind of taking it incredibly farther away from its rep than what this short explanations, this short paragraph was, but the reshaping of myths in order to keep sustaining the same original idea, something along those lines. How Hanuman sorry, gets to keep on existing because he basically can enjoy the possibility of knowing that he is something along those lines, I guess. That's, I think so, once again, the most evident conclusion. But yeah, I think I don't really need to add that much more. This one is like politically, I guess, I don't know. But yeah, that was Canto 147. Now, next important stuff. Uh, Before continuing, let me take a tiny idle meeting break. Let's call them that and say that I need to leave for 1 second. So yeah, please enjoy silence for a bit while I go do something. Also, what's that noise? Anyways, also let me mute the fucking mic. Walter incredible process. Anyways, we're so back. Also, I guess welcome. Oops. Good, good day. Yeah, that's something that I wanted to say before. We cannot really say good life. It's like a weird to say good life. Social conventions, I guess, I don't know. Uh, there is probably a proper way to say something that is like incredibly general because you cannot really say good day at any point of the day. uh, it's like we need a universal expression to say good uh, moment of existing, but we are not going to create it here. So yeah, it's just an observation, just a tiny observation. Water. Uh, Also, we're like halfway through. We we're so back. I I haven't fallen asleep, so I'm very happy, very pleased with that. But yeah, we still have to continue, or else I will do so. Uh, I can feel my brain fighting to shut down, but we are going to act like it isn't happening. I mean, I cannot really allow that, so anyway. Continuing. Continuing, we should have a little bit more to push forward. Continuing, count 148. Count 148. Tírate y atrapar para continuar. Vaisampayana Yeah, but Sampayana continued. The powerful Bhimasena Mahabaho bows lovingly and with a cheerful heart to his brother Hanuman, the Vanara lord, and says in the mildest voice, "No one is more fortunate than I am, now that I have seen my elder brother. Fortune has been so kind to me, and I cannot express my delight. But now I have a wish that I pray you will fulfill. Shura, I want to see that incomparable form you had when you leapt across the ocean full of sharks and crocodiles. Ocean of 100 Johannas. If you show me that form, I will be satisfied. I will believe everything that you have said. That mighty Vanara replies with a smile. No one today can see that form of mine. Not you or anyone else. In that yuga, all things were different. Not as they are today. In the Krita Yuga, the state of things was one, and in the Treta, another, and in the Dwapara, still another. Diminution is sweeping through this age, and I do not have that form now. Why? The earth, rivers, plants, and rocks, and siddhas, devas, and devarishis conform to time, according to the yugas. Therefore, do not wish to see my old form. O Guru Pravira, I am bound by the nature of this age. Time is irresistible. What the fuck does that mean? Anyway, Bhimasena says, tell me about the duration of the different yogas, and of the varied manners and custom, and of Dharma, Kama and Dharata, and of karma, of dehas, and of life and death in the different yugas. Hanuman says, child, that yuga is called Karita when the one eternal religion existed, the Sanatana Dharma. In that best of yugas, everyone owned spiritual perfection, and therefore there was no need for religious deed or rituals. Dharma knew no deterioration, and neither did anyone die. For this, that yuga is called Karita, the perfect. But in time, the Karita Yuga has come to be considered as an inferior one. In the Karita, there were neither Devas nor Asuras, no Gandharvas, nor Yakshas, nor Rakshasas, nor Nagas. There was no commerce, no buying and selling, and the Sama, the Rik, and the Yahus did not exist, and there was no manual labor. All the necessaries of life were obtained merely by being thought of, and the only punyaloy lay in renouncing the world. During that yuga, there was neither disease nor decay of the senses, there was neither malice nor pride, nor hypocrisy, nor discord, nor ill will, nor cunning, nor fear, nor misery, nor envy, nor covetousness. And for this, that prime refugee of yogis, the supreme Brahman, was attainable to all. Narayana, wearing a white complexion, was the soul of all creatures. In the Krita Yuga, the distinctive characteristic of Brahmanas, Kshatriyas, Vaisyas, and Sudras were natural, and these always adhered to their respective dharmas. Brahman was the sole refuge, and their manners and customs were naturally adapted to the attainment of Brahman, and the object of their knowledge was the sole Brahman, and all their karma also had a reference to Brahman. In this, all the Varnas attained Punya. One uniform soul was the object of their meditation, and there was only one mantra, the Paranava. And there was one law, and although they had different natures, all of them followed a single Veda, and they had one Dharma, one religion, and according to the divisions of time, they lived the four asramas without any desires, and so they attained moksha, the Dharma which comprises of identifying the Atman with the Brahman, is the sign of the Krita Yuga. The Krita Yuga, the Dharma of the four Varnas, is universal, entire. Thus, the Krita Yuga is devoid of the three gunas. We are moving too fast, I don't even know what the fuck is I wanna. Now listen to the character of the Treta Yuga. In this age, sacrifices are introduced, and Dharma decreases by a fourth part. And Narayana, who is the soul of all creatures, assumes a red color, and men practice truth and devote themselves to religion and religious rites. Sacrifices and various religious observances come into existence. In the Treta Yuga, people begin to devise means for the attainment of objects for possession, and they attain it through karma and dana. However, they never deviate from dharma, and they are devoted to asceticism and to the giving of gifts. The four varnas adhere to their respective swadharamas and perform rituals. Such are the men of the Treta Yuga. In the Dwapara Yuga, the Sanatana Dharma decreases by one half. Now Narayana wears yellow, and the Veda becomes divided into four parts. Now some men retain the knowledge of the four Vedas, and some of three Vedas, and some of one Veda, while others do not even know even their nicks. Upon the Shastras becoming so divided, karma multiplies, and largely influenced by passion, men still engage in tapasya and dana. But from their incapacity to study the entire Veda, it becomes divided into several parts, and in consequence of the intellect having decreased, few are establishing truth. I so triumphy. And when people fall away from the truth, they become subject to myriad diseases, and then last and natural calamities ensue. Afflicted by these, some men perform penance, while others celebrate sacrifices, yajnas, wishing to enjoy the good things of life or to attain heaven. Upon the coming of the Dwapara Yuga, men become degenerate in consequence of their impiety. O son of Kunti, in the Kali Yuga, only a quarter of Dharma survives, and in the beginning of this Iron Age, Narayana wears a black hue, and the Vedas and the Shastras and Dharma and Yagans and every religious observance, all these fall into disuse. Then it reigns, and disease and lassitude and anger and deformities and natural calamities and anguish and fear of scarcity. As the years wane, dharma dwindles, and all creatures degenerate. As creatures degenerate, their natures deteriorate. The religious rites performed at the waning of the years produce contrary effects, and even those that live for several yugas conform to these changes. Parantapa, as for curiosity to know me, I say it is. Why should a wise person be here to know a superfluous thing? Oh, long-armed one. I have told you in full what you ask me regarding the nature of the different yugas. May good fortune befall you. Now return from where you came. Also, notation. ET, six pernicious things for crops. Excessive rain, drought, vermin, locust, bears, and a neighboring hostile king. Okay, uh, we got to the US. Out of nowhere, we got the description of the US. I am pretty sure we already did before. I will bet. Well, probably not. But I will bet that we did hear about them before. But very refreshing to find them again. I mean, Even if we did find them before, I already forgot what they were. It's an incredibly okay. Let me talk about this one thing. There is something that I have been dealing with when it comes to these people, the Hindus, and their whole system of belief, their Sanskrit scriptures and whatnot, and there is something challenging because there is a way in which they talk about things in their daily life that I do not like the way in which they do, but it's true. There are many. I don't know if it is the proper way to say it, secrets of the world contained within such scriptures. One of the many examples, I think it was like quantum theory, something like that. One of the most recent fundamental laws that we have discovered was supposedly already being contained inside of this. And in that same sense, one of the unavoidable observations is okay, are the US to some degree correct? Or is that something that is just completely mythological and just a construct to talk about something else and not truly the whole state of the world, but a different idea to begin with anything? It's okay, being honest, the what was it, 148, I think? Yeah, 148 is very clear. There is not much to think about, I guess. It's just hypothesis to make over everything that is contained in that one. But I don't really know. I assume. Okay, one of the few things that I can say with some degree of confidence is indeed the way in which it talks about the US makes me think about this whole concept of what's we have the name. I can check the name. The first one of them, Greta Yua. Greta is the first one, yeah, yeah. Uh, the Greta Yua begins. Yeah, the Greta Yua is the beginning of the universe, so to speak, or this universe. I guess there is something important there. Issue being, we don't really talk about that. It's too complicated, I guess, in general. But how to properly interpret the everything was attainable just by thinking? Is it? I. It has too many connections. That's the thing I can say with most confidence. It has many ways in which you can interpret that as something that might be correct in any kind of direction. It's the US and whatnot is one of the central ideas of these scriptures. If anything needs to be taken out of the Mahabharata as a proper lesson is the idea of US. I mean, what it says here, not just the Mahabharata, but the Vedas, Vedantas, and whatever. The problem is how to properly place that in any way of understanding what they are trying to talk about. You can see it as some handful of theories. Krita Yoga might as well be somewhat related to what, for example, completely different theory. Plato, the world of ideas, talks about what what is that sort of place where all the souls come from before finding themselves to be into reality might be traceable to this idea of the Kreta Yuga. Because if everything is attainable just by thought, it's very much the same thing as what is the world of ideas, or of Plato, in the sense that we get to have a place in which every kind of picture, of mental picture that you have gets to be created in its wholeness, so to speak. And in that sense, it's a very, very simple connection to make, I guess. The issue is it's not only just that, it also has less. I think it's. I don't really want to check. I assume I have the character psychology, the tag of psychology. I assume it also is somewhat related to psychology. It might as well also be talking about how these lower states of being, the Kreta Yuga might also be related to a lower state of being, which you can get to satisfy all your necessities by merely being conscious about them, and how, in some way, Kreta Yuga might be referring to that state in which we do not have to deal with the issue of being conscious. You just have things to do and nothing else. There is no real distinction between you and anything else, also, because you don't really get the possibility of developing a concept of self. Everything is just exists. That's also why the Kreta Yuga is so simple, because there is no consciousness that is that developed, so to speak. But it doesn't really stop there. There is also something complex hidden within the whole explanation of why we cannot see from one yuga to the other one. The previous embodiments that we used to have in the previous yugas. It also feels like it's a completely different theory, also, but it feels like it's related to how dimensions work. I will say different yugas are ruled by different dimensions. I don't know, for example, we do not live. Basic notion is we live in a world of 3 dimensions. Reality ends up being we might as well be living in a world of 4 dimensions, probably 5. Take into consideration that gravity seems to be also a sort of a dimension, or even if it is just a distortion of dimension, it seems to be a tangible thing, something along those lines. But in general, we have, besides the 3 basic ones, we also have the dimension of time, in which we only get to move forward. We are beings of 3 dimensions living in a 4-dimensional world. Maybe that the US cannot be seen by existences of other US, or the beings of one UA cannot be seen by beings of other yugas, means that they might be subjected to different rules of dimensions and whatnot. Like, for example, basic idea, we cannot see a hypercube. We can only get a mental picture that approximates a hypercube. We cannot really see a hypercube. It's physically impossible. If we were to get a representation of a hypercube, we might as well probably get overwhelmed our senses with that. That's also what I was thinking the moment I read that line of, yeah, you cannot see my form from the previous yuga. And also, I know I have spent at this point more time probably explaining stuff than reading, but this one canto has something wonderful, and it is how it doesn't declare in which yuga we are, at least so far. People likes to say that we are on the Kali Yuga, that we're on the last Yuga, so to speak, before the whole cycle ends. And the whole Kali Yuga has an incredibly negative connotation. Anybody who reads that realizes, I think it's short enough. Let me see. Okay, yeah, yeah. It's literally one paragraph. Oh, son of Kunti, in Kali only a quarter of Dharma survives, and in the beginning of this Iron Age, Narayana words of like you. And the Vedas and the Shastras and Dharma and Yagans and every religious observance, all these fall into disuse. No, it should be like a basic ruling. We cannot really be in the Kali Yuga. We haven't disposed ourselves of religion. We only have, I guess, at best integrated it in different ways. What I was mentioning before, we concepts learn to adapt themselves silently, reshape what they are, so that we might sometimes not realize that they already existed before with other names and their other aspects, but they still are in the end just the same thing with a different name. Very much that happens with religion. We haven't gotten rid of that. In many ways, for example, we live in a modern world in which we have just adapted and removed the most religious aspect of what a religion is. But we to get rid of religion would mean to get rid of most of the culture that we have around us. And I don't think that that's a reality in any way. But anyways, uh, this one was a more complex paragraph than what I was expecting. So yeah, that's Canto 148. Brother. Oh man. But yeah, nonetheless, wonderful. What a wonderful Canto. Also, let me highlight, please. Continuing. Canto 149. Tirthayatra Parva continues. Bhimasena says, I will not live without seeing your olden form. If I have found favor with you, show me your pristine self. With a smile, Devanara shows Bhima the form in which he, Hanuman, once leapt across the sea. Wanting to gratify his brother, Hanuman assumes a gigantic body of immeasurable effulgence. Devanara stands there, covering all the plantain grove, and as lofty as the Vindhya. Great as a mountain, with coppery eyes and sharp teeth, and a face marked by a dreadful frown. Hanuman stands covering all that grove and lashing his tall long tail. Bhima sees the gigantic form of his brother, and his hair stands on end in wonder. Seeing the great monkey ablaze like the sun, like golden meru, splendid as the sky, Bhima cannot look upon him and shuts his eyes. Smiling again, Hanuman says to his brother, Anaka, you're able to see my form to this extent, but I can grow on for as long as I wish. Bhima, amidst enemies, my size increases through its own rejas. Seeing that wondrous and dreadful body of Hanuman, like the Vindhya mountain, Bhima Vayuputra is bewildered. Holding his hands, the Pandava says to Hanuman, Lord, I have seen the immense dimensions of your body. What I was talking about? Sorry. Awesome one. I beg you make yourself small again, for I cannot look at you. Like the sun rising of measureless power, irrepressible, and resembling the mountain Mainaka. O hero, great is the wonder in my heart today that with you by his side Rama himself needed to encounter Ravana. With your might, you could have annihilated Lanka and all its warriors in an instant, all its horses, elephants, and chariots. Surely, O Vayuputra, there is nothing that you cannot achieve, and in battle, I am certain that Ravana, together with all his Rakshasas, was no match for you. By yourself, Hanuman replies in affectionate words, solemnly spoken, Mahabaho, Oh, Mahabharata, it is as you say, Bhimasena, that the worst of Rakshasas was no match for me. But if I had slain Ravana, that storm of the worlds, the glory of Raghu's son will have been obscured, and it is for this that I left him alive. By killing that lord of the Rakshasas and his demons, and bringing back Sita unto his own city, Rama established his fame among men. Oh, wise one, since you are intent on the welfare of your brothers and protected by Vayu, travel on a fortunate and auspicious path. Kurustama, this path will lead you to this Saugandhika forest. You will see Kubera's gardens, guarded by yakshas and rakshasas. Do not pluck the flowers there, for the gods deserve reverence, especially from mortals, only if they are worshipped with offerings and homas and salutations and the recitation of mantras, and do the devas confer their favor upon men. So, do not, my child, be rash. Do not deviate from your svadharma. Be faithful to your duty, understanding what the highest dharma is. Without knowing your duty and serving the old, even great ones like Brihaspati cannot understand artha and dharma. One should ascertain with discrimination that circumstance in which vice goes under the name of virtue, and virtue under the name of vice, circumstances in which men who are without intelligence become perplexed. From religious observances, merit ensues, and merit are the Vedas founded, and from the Vedas, sacrifices come into being. And through sacrifice, the gods are established. The devas are maintained by yagnas prescribed by the Vedas and the Shastras, while men maintain themselves by following the ordinances of Brihaspati and Sukra, and also by these avocations by which the world is maintained, serving for wages, receiving taxes, merchandise, agriculture, and tending cattle and sheep. The world subsists through profession. The study of the three Vedas and agriculture and trade and government constitutes, say the rishis, the professions of the twice born, and each varna maintains itself by following the profession prescribed for it. And when these callings are properly pursued, the world itself is maintained with ease. However, if the people do not lead righteous lives, the world becomes lawless in consequence of the lack of Vedic merit and government. If the people do not follow their prescribed vocations, they perish, but by regularly following the three professions, they bring about Dharma. The Dharma of Brahmanas consists in the knowledge of the soul, and the hue of only that Varna is universally the same. The celebration of sacrifices and the study and bestowal of gifts are well known to be the three duties common to all the orders. Officiating at sacrifices, teaching and the acceptance of gifts are the duties of a Brahmana. To rule is the dharma of the Kshatriya, and to tend cattle that of the Vaisya, while to serve the twice-born Varnas is said to be the duty of the Sudra. The Sudras cannot beg alms or perform homas or give bratas, and they must dwell in the homes of their masters. Your vocation, O son of Kunti, is that of the Kshatriya, which is to protect. Perform your svadharma with humility and restraining your senses. That king alone can rule who takes the counsel of experienced men and is held by honest, intelligent, and learned ministers. A king who is addicted to vices only meets with defeat. Only when the king justly punishes and confers favors in order secure in the world. And confers favors is order secure in the world. Therefore, it is needful to ascertain, through spies, the nature of a hostile country, its fortified places and the allied forces of the enemy, and their prosperity and decay, and the way in which they retain the adhesion of the powers they have drawn to their side. Spies are among the important instruments of the king, and tact, diplomacy, prowess, chastisement, favor, and cleverness leads to success, and success is to be attained through this. either in separation or combined. Namely, conciliation gives sound dissensions, chastisement, and might. And, oh Bharata, politics has for its roots diplomacy, and diplomacy is also the main qualification of spies. Politics, if well such, confers success. Therefore, in matters of polity, the counsel of Brahmanas should be taken. In secret affair, they shall not be consulted, namely, a woman, a fool, a boy, a covetous person, a mean-minded individual, and one that betrays signs of insanity. What? What? Betrays signs of insanity? Wise men only shall be consulted, and affairs are to be dispatched through officers that are able. Policy must be executed through persons that are friendly, but fools should be excluded from all affairs. In matters religious, pious men, and in matters of gain, wise men, and in garden families, eunuchs. And in all corrupt affairs, corrupt men must be employed. The dharma of adharma, of the resolve of an enemy, as also his strength or weakness, must be gods through one's own as well as hostile spies. Favor should be shown to honest persons who have prudently sought protection, but lawless and disobedient individuals shall be punished, and when the king justly punishes and shows favor, the dignity of the law is well maintained. O son of Brita, these are the hard duties of kings, difficult to comprehend. Observe them with equanimity, and even as they are prescribed for your Kshatriya Varna. Therefore, heroic Kanteya, let your meeting with me not be fruitless. As my brother, ask me for a wound if you wish. I can go to Mahabharata even now and kill all the Harit. I haven't said this name in so long. The Haritarashtra's insignificant sons, or if you like, I can raise the entire city with rocks. I can bind Duryodhana and bring him before you today, mighty one. Listening to that Mahatman, Bhima replies happily, Manarottama, I will drink that you have already done all this. My every good fortune befall you, Mahabaho. But what I ask of you is this: be well pleased with me, mighty one. Upon your having become our protector, the Pandavas have found help. Even through your prowess, we will conquer all our enemies. Hanuman says to Bhimasena, from brotherly love, I will do good to you by diving into the army of your enemies, armed with arrows and spears, and, oh Kshatriya, when you roar like a lion, I will enforce to your roars. I will set myself on the flagstaff of Arjuna's chariot and give fierce yells that will terrify your enemies so that you can kill them easily. Saying this to the Pandava and also pointing the way ahead, Hanuman vanishes before Bhima's eyes. Dear God. Okay, besides the basic precepts that I don't even know, okay, I wanna read back. Why did Hanuman start lecturing Bhima out of nowhere? Uh, there is nothing that you cannot achieve. It's not much for you. Annihilate the what? Lord, I have seen the immense dimensions of your body. Yeah. What triggered the almost 2 pages long? No, more than 2 pages long dialogue from Hanuman. Anyway, we don't need an explanation, I guess. But it makes sense, I guess. So, what is Now, going back to what I said before, what is the conclusion besides all of this stuff? Uh, is there anything? That's the issue. Is there truly anything to say? I mean, sort of. Okay, okay. Connecting with what I mentioned before, ideas get to keep on living for as long as we're capable of understanding them. The chain, the reshaping of Hanuman into the black stuff and whatnot that he mentions later on when fulfilling the wish of Bhima can probably be seen as how the fight of ideologies, I guess, how it is possible for ideas to become more than, I would say, not just factors to keep on going, but also the capacity to be capable of realizing that some things are allowing us to keep going. Not exactly the main reasons behind our actions, but sustaining pillars of the ideologies that we carry and those parts of us that fuel everything else, let's say. That's the basic interpretation that gets left aside, but that is possible to make from that. The question is, what else? I mean, it says too much. Being honest, it says too much, and out of nowhere, also, sadly. I, I have a hard time really following if there is anything else to learn from this. That's that's also, yes, something that I probably haven't said before. It's complicated to find any other meaning when there are things that, even if it's just one character saying them, it gives them enough objectivity so that anybody could understand. Yeah, these are not really being said by the character. These are precepts. I think it is the proper word, or rules on how to act and whatnot. But no, yeah, I cannot really find. Yeah, no, I do not see anything else here. At, at the least, for me, that's everything on the count to 150. So, time to continue. Count to 151. Tirtha Yatraparva continued. Vaisampayana said, when the greatest of Vanaras has gone, Bhima treads the path across the mighty Ganhamadana, and as he goes along, he thinks of Hanuman's vast body and splendor unrivaled on earth, and also of the greatness and dignity of Dasaratha's son, Rama. Going on in quest of the place of the Saugandhikas, Bhima sees enchanting forests, groves, rivers, and lakes whose banks are graced with trees, blossom laden, and woods of countless flowers and colors. Bharata, he sees herds of wild elephants smeared with mud, resembling masked thunderheads. Graceful Bhima lopes ahead with speed, seeing among the trees around him deer of quick lances, with their mates and the long tufts of grass in their mouths, fearless because of his strength, as if invited by the very shaken trees of the forest, always fragrant with flowers, bearing delicate coppery twigs. Bhimasena lances into mountain realms inhabited by bison, bear, and leopard. And on his way, he passes lotus lakes over which mud and black bees swarm. On those waters, it seemed as if the lotus buds were hands reverently folded to him. His provender for his son is what Draupadi said, and Bhima speeds on, his mind and gaze fixed upon the slopes of the mountain Apollo. When the sun passes his summit, Bhima sees a mighty river in the deer fields angle. A river full of fresh golden lotuses, a river crowded with hams and karam daba, and graced with chakravakas. River which looks like a garland of fresh lotuses put on by the mountain. In this river, that mighty Kshatriya found banks after banks of Sau- Saugandhika lotuses, brilliant as the rising sun, and absolutely delightful. Seeing the flowers, Bhima thinks that he has attained his objective, and in his heart he thinks of Panchali and presents himself before her in his thought. His beloved Krishna, worn out by their exile. Okay, it was literally one page. Wow, that's Canto 151, I guess. Uh, Message? What's the message? Is there a message? I mean, yeah. Uh, I love these. Let me. I love these from the page, and also I love these. Oh, there is like one. What's just one? Where is it? Okay, this is the only paragraph that I think has any possible interpretation. Uh, Everything else, nothing, man. Also, message, yeah. Message is missing. Man, what a. I don't know. I think really there is nothing for me to say here, sadly. Okay, yeah. It's. I guess at this point it's time to mention what the hell is the signification of lotus? Okay, yeah. I think it makes sense. Probably. Let me see how long is the next canto. One. Yet another one page. What? Yet another one page. Truly. Also, welcome flower. Sorry. I said message. Yeah, but I didn't say welcome. But anyway, before I end up forgetting or something else appears, I guess. Yeah, I guess. I guess the proper explanation as to why the symbol of a lotus is used in this case. I think it shouldn't be that strange to realize that if this whole journey were to happen not just in the physical realm but also in the symbolic realm, if what we are talking about is not just the story that happens but also the message hidden within the what is it the allegories used for other things inside of this context. Lotus is not really the plant, but rather the signification of how Lotus in many ways represents peace and how I don't really have that on me. I don't really remember exactly. I could probably search it to make a proper, a more assertive explanation. It's something along the lines of how lotuses are related so much with prosperity, resolution, and whatnot. That whole side of how people interpret plants as different things. That's why lotuses are the main concept inside of this whole side story. If Bima were to attain lotuses as it's shown here, he gets to have peace. That's sort of the point, or at the very least, he gets to obtain a little bit more of calmness. It's a signification of the whole process of how this purification seems to be actively allowing him to function better, and also not just him in this case, um, but also Krishna, the woman who asked him to go gather the lotuses. How it seems that things are working. The lotus is an, an a metaphor for peace of mind. That's what I think it is. That's also on the. I mean, something that since so long, basically since this whole side story started, is how there is no consideration for the time itself in many ways of the other people, because he had, by disappearing out of nowhere to just fulfill the request of the woman, he ended up abandoning the group and making them wait for him. And it should be an obvious realization that in essence, no matter how good a flower itself is, no adventure will be stopped just because of that. It's along the lines of that, I believe, that it isn't really about a flower. It isn't really about the lotus. It's about something else. I mean, yeah, I don't know. I could kind of continue in that sense. Perhaps even there is no sure need to get any kind of lotus. It's everything a kind of in internal experience, perhaps. I mean, you could take it from that side of how, since Hanuman was an embodiment of an idea to some degree, you could be seeing it as how Bhimasena was not really doing anything but rather reaching deeper levels of a dharma, so to speak, of comprehension about the world. That's possible, really. Very, very, very far away from what we are so far observing. So, we might as well continue. That's 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 that, I guess. We might as well continue. Canto that was also Canto 151. Now continuation, Canto 152. Tirata y Atraparo continue. Vaisampayana said, in that place, Bema, Bema, Bema sees near the Kailasa Massif that beautiful lotus lake surrounded by lovely woods and guarded by Rakshasas. He sees that it is fed by waterfalls next to the abode of Kubera. Great flowering trees shade its banks, and green water lily pads cover its surface. This unearthly lake is filled with golden lotuses and swarms with diverse birds. Its shallows are crystalline, with no mud at all. This lake is a wonder of the world, health-giving and enchanting. Kanti's song sees that the ambrosial water is cool, lucid, bright, and fresh. The Bandava drinks thirstily, profusely from it. The lake is covered over with celestial Sauganhika lotuses, another golden lotuses with stalks of sapphire, swayed by swans and carandavas brushing past them. The lotuses scatter forest glimmering pollen. This lake is where the great soul Kuvera, king of the Yakshas, comes to sport. The Gandharvas, the Apsaras, and the Devas hold it in high regard. The Varishis, Yakshas, Kimpurushas, Rakshasas, and Kinnaras frequent it, and it is well protected indeed by Kuvera. Feverish delight sweeps over Bhima as soon as he lays eyes on those waters. Thousands of Rakshasas called Krothavasas, armed with every kind of weapon, guard that lake by the command of their Lord Kuvera. Bhima of awesome prowess, wearing deerskin, golden armlets, his sword strapped to his side, plunges fearlessly ahead to gather the Saugandhikas. Action? Are we having action? The Rakshasas see him and shout to one another, "Let us ask why this man has come here, wearing deerskin and carrying weapons." They approach the lustrous Brigodara of mighty arms and ask, "Who are you? Answer us. We see you wearing a hermit's garb, yet bearing weapons. Intelligent us. Tell us why you have come here." Uh, uh, no meaning, no message. Let me continue. Canto 153, Tirthayatra Parva continue. Bhima says, "I am the son of Pandu, and next by virtue Yudhishthira, Dharmaraja, and my name is Bhimasena. Rakshasas, I came with my brothers to the Nyagrodha, which is called Bisala. There, Panchali saw a most excellent Saugandhika, which of a certainty was born thence by the wind from this lake. She wishes to have the flowers in some abundance. Know, Rakshasas, that I have come to fulfill the wish of my wife of faultless features. I have come here to gather flowers for her." At which the Rakshasa says, "Purushottama, this place is dear to Kuvera. He comes to sport here. Mortal men cannot enjoy this place. Brikodara, the Devarishis and the Devas ask Kuveras, leave before they drink this water or swim in it. Pandava, the Gandharvas and the Apsaras also come to place themselves in this lake. The wicked man who, disregarding the Lord of Treasures, seeks to enjoy himself here surely meets his death. With no regard for Kuvera, you seek to take away the Saugandhikas from here by force. How then do you come to meet the water of Yudhishthira Dharmaraja? First, seek the permission of the Lord of Yakshas. Only then drink and pluck the lotuses. If you do not do this, you will not be able to have even a single Saugandhika." Masina says, "Rakshasas, I do not see the Lord of Wealth here, and even if I did see that Lokapala, I will not beg him. For Kshatriyas never beg. This is the eternal Dharma, and I have no intention of abandoning Kshatriya Dharma. Moreover, this lotus lake has been formed from the waterfalls of the mountain. It has not been excavated in the palace of Kuvera, and so it belongs as much to every creature as it does to Kuvera Vaisaravana. Who goes to beg an otter for such a thing?" With this, the impatient Bhima wades into the lotus lake. The Rakshasas forbid him, crying, "Desist!" and abuse him roundly from every side. Bhima ignores them and continues wading into the water, their eyes rolling in anger, their arms upraised. They rush at him, roaring variously, "Seize him! Bind him! Hew him! We will cook this Bhima and eat him!" Bhima raises his great mace, inlaid with golden plates, unlike the mace of Yama himself, and turning back to face them, raise, "Stay!" Brandishing lances and axes and other weapons, they run at him. The dreadful Krotkavasas surround Bhima, but he is the son begotten by Vayu, and he is mighty beyond reckoning and heroic, the slayer of his foes, and always devoted to Dharma and Satya. No one can vanquish him. Swiftly, The great Bhima crushes those Rakshasas, beginning with their leader, breaking their arms, killing more than 100 on the banks of that lake. When they see how strong he is, and that they cannot resist him, the rest of those powerful Rakshasas run in all directions, in bands, so many of them pierced and bleeding. They fly through the air towards Mount Kailasa, having beating his enemy, even as Sindra did the armies of the Daitans and the Navas, Bhima plunges into the lake again and begins to gather the golden lotuses as he pleases. And as he drinks the waters, like nectar, his energy and strength surge back, and he falls to plucking and gathering the fragrant Saugandhikas. Meanwhile, the Grotkavasas, driven away and terrified by Bhima's onslaught, flee to Kuvera, Lord of Treasures, and telling him everything that transpired at the lake and especially about Bhima's might. The Deva smiles, then says, I already know what you have told me. Let Bhima take as many lotuses as he likes for Krishna. Those Rakshasas return to the Pandava and see him alone, enjoying himself in the lake of lotuses. Was it what I wanted? Not really. I thought it was going to be more action. Anyway, at least it was something. But yeah, that's Canto 153. Conclusion? Uh, what's the point? I mean, I don't know. I think basic point. Yeah, violence resolves stuff. If you're that strong, let's say the strongest person gets to do whatever they want. I guess that's like the most basic reading possible of this. But yeah, no, I don't think there is really anything to say about this one. It's, I mean, it's an incredibly crazy thing to say, but I feel like sometimes they're not even written by the same person. Some of them have such complexity, and some others are so devoid of any meaning. And not the whole chapters, but between canto and canto, that's what differs so much. I mean, how many? 3 or 4 cantos ago, we were reading out how to be a proper leader and how to be a capable human being, and now we are reading out. Oh yeah, violence solves everything if you're strong enough. So wow. Anyway, completely. Anyways, uh, a little bit more. Canto 154. Hirotayatra Parva continued. By Sampayana said, Bhima gathers the rare, unearthly, and fresh flowers as he pleases, in abundance. Now a high and violent wind begins to blow, blowing up sound and earth, and portending battle. Ominous meteors fall from the sky, and thunder echoes everywhere. Enveloped in darkness, the sun grows pale, his rays being obscured. At Bhima displaying his prowess, dreadful explosions ring through the sky. The earth trembles, and dust falls in showers. The cardinal points of the heavens grow red, and beasts and birds begin to cry out in shrill tones. All things are enfolded in darkness, and indistinguishable. Horrible omens appear there. Yudhishthira Dharmaputra sees this strange phenomena and says, Someone means to attack us. Arm yourselves, Pandavas, and may good fortune befall you. From what I see, I believe that the time has come for us to show our strength. We're going to war, we're so fucking bad. The king looks around and does not see Bhima. He turns to Panchali and the twins. Panchali, has Bhima going to perform some great feat, or has he done so already? These omens surely portend some grave danger, therefore tell a great battle. To allay his anxiety, Krishna, with a sweet smile, says, Rahan, I shot Saugandhika with the wind blew here to Vima. I said to him that if he could find more for me, he should bring back as many as he could. Pandava, he must have gone looking for the golden lotuses for my sake. He must have gone northeast. Hearing her, Yudhishthira says to the twins, let us follow Vrikotara's path. Let the Rakshasas carry those Brahmanas who are tired and weak. Gatotkacha, you carry Krishna. I am convinced that Bhima has gone into the jungle, for it is long since he has been gone. He travels as swiftly as the wind, or has been at the sun, and he will even leap into the sky and alight at his will. Rakshasas, we will follow him through your prowess, who will not do any wrong to the Sirkas in the forest, who are bears in the Vedas. Saying, so be it, Hidimbason and the other Rakshasas, who know the lotus lake of Kupera, set out cheerfully with Lomasa, carrying the Pandavas and many of the Brahmanas. Soon arriving at the lake, they see it covered with Saugandhika and other lotuses and surrounded by ethereal woods. On its shores, they see the noble and fierce Bhima, as, as also the slaughter Rakshasas of large eyes, with their bodies, arms, and thighs smashed and their heads crushed. Upon seeing Bhima standing there like an angry lion, his eyes staring, biting his lip, his mace upraised in both hands, even like Yama at the Mahapralaya. Yudhishthira Dharmaraja runs to his brother and embraces him repeatedly. Gently, Yudhishthira says, Kaunteya, what have you done? Ah, may good fortune be with you. But if you love me and wish my welfare, never again build Sauras, nor offend the Devas. Now those godlike ones all begin to sport in those waters and to pluck the Saugandhikas as they please. Suddenly, the immense guardians of the gardens, with the rocks for their weapons, arrived there. Seeing Yudhishthira Dharmaraja, Maharishi Lomasa, Nakula, Sahadeva and the other great Brahmanas, those guardians Rakshasas bow down low in humility. Yudhishthira pacifies them, and they are gratified. Thus, with Kubera's knowledge, for a short time, those Tamas dwell there in those gardens upon the slopes of the Gandhamadana, waiting for Arjuna. Said by Sampayana to Rajahanamaya. End of Banaparva Part 1. And the end of, I think it's like the second book. And also, a little bit of a story. Ramesh Menon was born in 1951 in New Delhi. He has also written modern renderings of the Mahabharata, Ramayana, Sarimata, Bhagavad Gita, Sima Purana, Devi Purana, and Bhagavata Purana. I mean, after the Mahabharata, everything else is part of the Mahabharata, so no idea. But okay. No, okay. No. That's Canto what? 152? 154. Well, I was incredibly wrong. 154. What's the meaning? What is it about? I think narrative device. That's what I feel the most. I mean, if there is a war coming, certainly that's how you end it. That's what I feel like, but no, yeah, I don't think I can really pinpoint anything. I at least not on this one. I mean, everything to some degree felt kind of rushed. Even I will say that out of nowhere. In what? Yeah, in literally one canto, we got them to gather all around. In 2 pages, we got everything to happen. it was certainly a little bit rushed, to say the least. So yeah, it just feels like a plot device. Yeah, that's what I feel like. But I might be wrong. We want to believe that I might be wrong. Anyway, I still don't get this image. Anyways, continuing. The complete Mahabharata, Vanaparva Parts 2 and Virata Parva. Yeah, the complete Mahabharata part. I already read this. Shut up. The complete. Yeah. Yes. Yeah, no. Hayashari Kumar with Katya Osborne Rupa. All copyright. We don't care about copyright here. Welcome to Twitch. One day, I am sure one day they will find out. Somebody decide to read the whole book on stream. It will be so funny. I it will be so incredibly funny when that happens. What will they do about it? The moral right of the author has been asserted? What the fuck does that mean? Uh, Also, no part of this publication might be reproduced, transmitted. Don't worry about it. For sure, we got all the pyramids. For sure, brother. Anyway, for Kumar, my husband and best friend. What? Who's the author? What? Who? Yashri? No. It's Kumar. Anyway, a brief introduction, acknowledgements, and also parts. Cantos? How many cantos does this have? 313 cantos. Very amazing book. I certainly a book. Anyway, yeah, and after that, the Virata Parva. A brief introduction. I can yeah, I kind of forgot. I think it's literally the same introduction as before, so uh, we can kind of move past this fast, rapidly. A brief introduction. The first complete version of the Mahabharata to be written in Indian in English prose was the translation by Kisari Mohan Ganguly in the late 19th century. He wrote it between 1883 and 1896. To the best of my knowledge, it still remains the only fully English prose rendering of the epic by any Indian. More than 100 years have passed since Ganguly achieved his monumental task. Despite its closeness to the original Sanskrit and its undeniable power, in more than 100 years, the language and style of the Ganguly translation have inevitably become archaic. It seemed a shame that this most magnificent of epics, a national treasure and an indisputable classic of world literature, believed by many to be the greatest of all books ever written, is not available in any incomplete form to the Indian or any reader in modern, literary, and literally accessible English, as retold by Indian writers. So we, a group of Indian writers and editors, warmly and patiently supported by our publisher Rupa Publications India, undertook a line-by-line retelling of the complete Mahabharata for the contemporary and future reader. Our aim has not been to write a scholarly translation of the great epic, but an eminently readable one, without vitiating either the spirit or the poetry of the original, and without reducing its length. This is not a translation from the Sanskrit, but based almost entirely on the Ganguly text, and he himself did use more than one Sanskrit version for his work. However, as it will be obvious, the style of this new rendering is very much our own, and our hope is to bring as many of the majesty and enchantments of this awesome epic to you as is possible in English. Ramesh Menon, series editor, also I have to mute the mic. There is a fucking mic. No. Okay. There was a mosquito literally on the mic. I didn't get to hear it. Don't worry. Anyway, acknowledgements. Ramesh Menon, he offered me this work. He believed in me even when I did not. Thank you. Katia Douglas, my friend and fierce editor, she taught me how to appreciate the beauty and precision of the English language that less is often more. All this with kindness and generosity. Thank you. My mother, Kaulasia. Where are we reading this? Good question. Her long discussions with my grandmother and aunt about the Mahabharata and its characters, and as if they were familiar with people they I am having a very hard time trying this. As if they were familiar people they knew personally, giving valuable insights into the meaning of honor, integrity, and honesty. Her showing what I was doing encouraged me. My aunt Radha, she shares my sense of devotion to the spirit of the epic and faith in its essence. The Bhagavad Gita. She shared with me her knowledge, gained from years of reading and rereading this wonderful work. We had some wonderful discussions. People reread this work? How? Anyway, my son Govind, he made none of the demands that a mother expects of a son living on his own in a foreign country, but provided me with a haven in which I did some of my best writing. My daughter Anuradha, she upheld me and encouraged me, especially at times when I despaired of being able to continue, made molehills of mountains, as is her wont. What? And made the impossible seem within the reach. My friend in Kodai, particularly Lathika Su Sayaruna Minu Setarin Sakuralha. What? Kehokon? Shweli Philip Antiku, their broad shoulders that I often leaned on. Their encouragement and their unconditional friendship meant a lot to me whilst I worked on this volume. Now continuing. Banaparava Part 2. Canto 155. Tirthayatra Parva continued. We are so. How long is this? Also, what? 155? Ah, yeah. It's fine. Hatasura Vada Parva? ¿Qué? The anyway, we why did they carry literally one? Don't worry about it. We are not here to understand the decisions of the editors. Moving on. Canto 154. Tirthayatra Parva continued. By Sampayana said, in Gangamadana, Yudhishthira says to Krishna, his brother Bhima, and the Brahmanas, we have seen a succession of sacred tirthas and enchanting forests, which until now only the Devas and the Varishis have visited, and where Brahmanas have worshipped. We performed pujas with our Brahmanas in many hallowed places and heard them tell of the lives of great sages. In various tirthas, we performed ablutions with the Brahmanas and heard them narrate many tales of ancient rishis and raharishis. We worshipped the devas with water and flowers, and the Pitars with whatever fruit and roots we could find. With the exalted ones, we performed ritual purification in the holy mountains, in the lakes and in the sacred ocean. We bathed in the Ila, in the Saraswati, and in the Sindhu, in the Yamuna and in the Narmada, and in various other theaters. As we passed the shores of the Ganga, we saw splendid mountains and the Himalayas, inhabited by myriad species of birds, and also the yellow-flowered Badari tree Bisala, where Nara Narayana helped terrace Rama, and finally we have set our eyes on this unearthly lake that is worshipped by the Siddhas, the Devas, and the Munis. In fact, we have seen one by one all the most famed theaters with the illustrious Lomasa. Now, Bhima, how will we come to the sacred home of Vaisarvana, where the Siddhas live? Think of how you will take us there. When the king says this, Anasariri, a heavenly voice, speaks, saying, you will not be able to go to that inaccessible place. Return from this land of Kubera to the place from which you came to Valari. Nara and Narayanas, Asarama, from there. Go to the hermitage of Brisaparva, abandoning flowers and fruit, where Siddhas and Charanas dwell. Once you have passed that, go to the ashram of Arstisena. From there, you will be able to see the home of Kubera. As this voice speaks, the breeze freshens, cool, redolent with joy and an unearthly fragrance. Flowers rain from the sky at the sound of the celestial voice, and all are amazed, especially the rishis and the brahmanas. The brahmana Daumya says, "We must do as the voice tells us." Yudhishthira returns to the ashram of Nara and Narayana and lives there in contentment, surrounded by Bhimasena, his older brothers Panchali, and the brahmanas. And that is the end of the, what is it? What we have been reading for so long? The Tirtha Yatra Parva. Eh, Very good. Now, issue is how to argue the voice of God, a literal concept, the voice of God. How do you even try to explain that, man? I think a sort of sensible explanation will be to accept the possibility that it might as well be something along the lines of how itself the heavenly voice does not affect the destiny of what is happening, but rather how things should be going in a different way, being manifested certainly by this expression of a God assisting them in their objective and whatnot, but rather the sudden change of plans being made manifest in a positive light. I guess that's the interpretation I can get out of that. But everything else, yeah, I don't have anything else to say. I mean, I already talked about how this whole passage of tears and whatnot is just the penance that they should require to do, and at best, I guess, also how it is the different processes through which any person finds their comfort in being with themselves again needs to experience in order to reach this stage of once again life of not life of mental stability, I will say. The tirtas sort of represent how they learn to finally continue moving forward despite everything that has happened and the mistakes that they have committed. But yeah, no, there are not that many things to say here. I mean, particularly this canto is also very simple. So that's it, I guess. This one at least is that canto 155 finished. Now, canto 156. It's incredibly long. So yeah, I think that's like the canto that I will do, and after that, if everything goes well, that's where we are stopping today. I mean, I was capable of not falling asleep, so after that I will have to fulfill my duties. What a wonderful thing to be a human being, I guess. But yeah, uh, continuing continuing on to the final one, on the final countdown, as they will say. Canto 156. Hatasura Badha Parva. Vaisampayana continued. There, in the mountains, the Pandavas and their Brahmanas live in contented expectation of Arjuna's return. All the Rakshasas have left with Bhima's son when, one day, while Bhimasena is away, a Rakshasa suddenly carries off Yudhishthira, the twins and Krishna. This demon has been living amongst the Pandavas in the guise of a high Brahmana. Claiming that he is an experienced advisor and well versed in the Shastras, he wants to bow the bows, quivers, the other weapons and belongings of the Pandavas, and has been waiting for an opportunity to abduct Draupadi. He is the evil Hatasura. Yudhishthira encouraged him, little knowing that he is like a fire hiding under ashes. And one day, when Bhima is out hunting and seeing that Gatotkacha and his followers gone, and that those great races of austere Tapasya, Lomasa and the others have gone to bait and collect flowers for worship, the Rakshasa reveals a monstrous form. He gathers all the weapons of the Pandavas, seizes Draupadi and the three Pandavas, and flees. Somehow, Sahadeva manages to struggle free and wrenches the sword named Kausika from the Rakshasa. He calls out, running in the direction in which his mighty brother Bhima went. While being carried off, Yudhishthira Dharmaraja says to the Rakshasa, "Foolish one, you have lost all the punya you earned. You do not respect Dharma, whether human or of a lower species. Everyone is mindful of Dharma, particularly Rakshasas, because they know virtue better than others. You ought to live by Dharma. Oh, Rakshasa, the Devas, the Peters, the Siddhas, the Rishis, the Gandharvas, the animals, and even the worms and ants depend for their lives on men. And you do too. If the human race prospers, your race will also. If humans suffer, so will you, and even the Devas. The gods thrive on the offerings we make. Rakshasa, we are the guardians, rulers, and guides of kingdoms. If kingdoms are unprotected, how can prosperity and happiness exist unless a king offends him? A Rakshasa should not harm one. Cannibal, we have committed no sin. We live on Mikasa, the leftovers from oblations, and serve the gods and others as best we can. We are always respectful of our superiors and Brahmanas, a friend, a confidant, he whose food one has shared, and he who has given one shelter. This should never be injured. You have lived happily with us, been duly honored and everyone shared our food. How can you adapt us? What are you doing is sinful. Your maturity in years has been you so little wisdom, and your nature is so evil that you deserve to die, and die you shall today. You're a sinner, so give us back our weapons and fight us, and bear Draupadi away if you will. However, if you're fool enough to do this vile thing without a fair fight, you will reap only curses and infamy. Rakshasa, abducting this woman is like shaking the pot to drink the last drop of poison in it. Yudhishthira makes his body heavy, waking the Rakshasa down and slowing his pace. To Draupadi and Nakula and to Sahadeva, who has turned back, Yudhishthira says, "Do not be afraid of the demon, the sons of the wind. The son of the wind is near, and he will be here shortly, and evil one will die." Staring at the Rakshasa, Sahadeva says, "There is nothing more honorable for a Kshatriya than to fall in fight or to defeat an enemy. Parantapa, we will fight, and either this Rakshasa will kill us, or we shall kill him. This is the place of the time. Rahan, you of limitless prowess, the time has come for us to display our Kshatriya Dharma. We shall either find Swarga through victory, or death in defeat. This I swear, if the Rakshasa is still alive at sunset, I will not call myself a Kshatriya anymore. Rakshasa, I am Pandu's son Sahadeva. Kill me before you adopt our queen, or be killed and lie dead." Mother's son Sahadeva is still speaking when Bhima appears with a mace in his hand, like Basava himself with his thunderbolt. He sees his two brothers and, on the shoulders of the demon, chased Draupadi. He beats Sahadeva challenge to Rakshasa. What? He hears Sahadeva challenge the Rakshasa, and Hatasura hesitates, perplexed. Bhima sees his brothers and Draupadi in the demon's clutches, and the wrath surges in him. He says to the Rakshasa, "I already knew that you were an evil one when I saw how you looked at our weapons, but I did not kill you because you were no threat to me. You pretended to be a Brahmana, and you said nothing harsh to us. Indeed, you seemed like pleasing us and did us no wrong. Furthermore, you are a guest. How could I kill you, who are in the guise of a Brahmana and innocent of offense? He who kills one like this, even while knowing he's a Rakshasa, falls into hell. Besides, no one dies before their time comes. And for you it has come today. Wondrous fate made you think of abducting Krishna, and you have taken that bait, hoping to live now is as futile for you as for a fish whose mouth is already hooked. You will not go where you intended, but to the place where Baka and Hidimba have gone. Listening to Bhima, the Rakshasa sets the other Pandavas and Draupadi down and, compelled by inexorable fate, prepares to fight. His lips quiver in anger as he says to Bhima, Bhima, I slow down for you. Today I will offer your blood to all the Rakshasas you have killed. We must reach erupts and, like a Yama at the time of the Pralaya, wetting the corners of his mouth and staring at Hatasura as he strikes his own arms with his fist in challenge, he rushes at the Rakshasa, who also runs at him, yelling wild his fanged maw, even as Mahabali once flew at Indra. A dreadful battle begins, and when Mother's twins rush forward in fury, Brikodara forbids them with a smile. Watch me! I swear by my brothers, myself, my pony, and my sacrifices, that I will kill this evil. The two grasp each other's arms, unforgiven. The battle between the enraged Bhima and the red-eyed Rakshasa is like that between a Deva and an Asura. They uproot trees and strike each other with them, roaring like two clawed masses clashing against each other. Both are magnificently strong and charge at each other ferociously, breaking tree after tree over their thighs. Their duel continues relentlessly, like the long ago one between Bali and Sugriva, who fought over a woman. They pound each other with massive bowls, roaring all the while. Oh, Maharata, when all the trees in that place have been uprooted and smashed to pulp, the two of unbridled strength take up rocks and continue to fight. They are like a mountain and a mighty mass of clouds. Fury is their barrage, as they cast rocks that resemble brutal thunderbolts. They headbutt each other and seize each other's arms like two elephants, each raining thunderous blows on the other. They gnash their teeth like thunder crackling. Then, with his clenched fist like a five-headed snake, Bhima delivers a mighty blow to the Rakshasa's neck, and Hadasura's knees turn weak. Bhimasena seizes his exhausted adversary, the godlike son of Pandu, lifts him high and smashes him onto the ground, breaking all his limbs. He strikes the Rakshasa's body with his elbow and wrenches his head off, with its bloodied, bitten lips and rolling eyes like a fruit from its stems. Beheaded by Bhima Bahamaho, Asura dies, spouting gore from his open neck. Bhima presents himself before Yudhishthira, and all of those best of Brahmanas begin to praise him, even as the Maruts eulogize Basava. And yeah, that's exactly where we stop today. Ah, finally I would fight. Finally a proper fight. Some good fucking combat, brother. It wasn't that hard. Anyway. I didn't fall asleep so comfy. Also, I have an interesting thing to say. I read like very recently. Also, no, wait. Let me check that. Let me fact check because I have used this word probably in the wrong context before. Is coronary the proper description? I think coronary refers to the coronary artery, not to the heart. Coronary meaning what the hell is coronary? Ah, yeah. Related to the in general the arteries. Okay, heart, not coronary, heart disease. Lack of sleep causes heart issues. I don't even remember where. Very recently, I saw something that mentions how the lack of sleep generates accumulation of an enzyme or something like that that slowly deteriorates the muscles of the heart. So that's why not properly resting increases to such a level the chances of suffering a heart attack. So yeah, very very funny information, I guess. But that's what I wanted to mention. And now that I have also properly saved the page, I found myself fulfilled. Issue is also I should probably read, no? I should I? Let me see. Is it a moral responsibility or is it an avoidable action through a proper excuse? Can we say? I hate so much mobile to Twitch mobile. Why can't I see the page, brother? Why can't I check the stuff that I wanna check? I don't wanna work. Okay, yeah. It's so fucking over. I have to press that button. You know what? I don't feel like doing that. Let me use the PC before I fucking go crazy. Anyway, if anyone, good night, I guess. It was a wonderful stream, but yeah, I have to go be a responsible human being now and do stuff. So yeah, I don't think it will happen again, like probably ever. I hope it doesn't. I hope I don't need to stay awake like this. If it happens that I stay late, it will just be a willful action, not this stuff. So yeah, whatever. Uh, Also, I'm trying to write, and I have to also open my own channel. I don't know if that it's so complicated. Why is it so complicated? Why can't things be easier to be performed? You know, why can't I don't know. Just think about doing it and not have to worry about it. Also, as always, thanks for being there. I guess that's what matters. Holy shit, there are so many people. Why is it never easy? Why one day it will be a simpler choice, I guess. No idea. Uh, I have one. I think I have one. But yeah, that has been it for today. I need to still go to my own channel. I like how complicated it is to use Twitch somehow. Why is it so complicated, man? Okay, there it is. Am I on my own channel? Can I do a slash right now or will it explode? We will all discover that together. Also, almost 4 hours. What the fuck? Makes sense. Understandable. Also, what the fuck? Why does shut up, man? Hey, that was sorry. Uh, there we go. Shh, don't worry. Good night. Have a wonderful evening, night, morning. Someday, I guess I will continue reading the Mahabharata. I don't even know when. At least I have the excuse now to do so. But yeah, thanks. Take care. Make the world a better place. That's it. That's my final message. Wow. Also, if I hit start the raid, it also kinda cut off what I'm saying. I fucking hate that. It doesn't matter. It doesn't really matter. Whatever.